Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. Happy Sunday, right? Today is June or not June, July 6th, 2022. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Christopher Lee. I am a concept designer. Worked in the entertainment industry for about 10 years. Worked with companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering as well as Universal Studio Creative. And I'm here today with my buddy and friend Michael Welker. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael L. Welker. I am a writer and semi-retired creative producer from the theme park industry, and amateur Unity developer now. Because after the most recent project that Chris and I were on, Super Nintendo World in Osaka, Japan, working for Universal Creative. After that project kind of wrapped up in summer 2020, we said, "Hey, let's put our heads together and work on a personal project together." And long story short, we eventually landed on let's do a video game. Let's learn how to make a video game because neither of us have ever done it before. Um, and not only that, because this creative process is this really interesting journey that we're on, why don't we give other people a window into that process and uh, let people in on our design session so they can see us all along the way of this process? And that's how the Creative Tavern came to be. And to tell you more about it, I'm going to hand the mic back to Chris.
Thank you, Michael. And yes, the Creative Tavern was created for people, for all creative people. If you're working on anything at all, any stories, any art, any music, if you want to share it, feel free to stop by our Discord and share your amazing art, and we will be in awe of it, and we will share with one another what you can do. And so thank you so much. And also another reason why we're here is not only to share with us, share with you guys what we're doing, but also secretively and selfishly have you guys help us on our journey. Special shout out to Captain Blue Blue because he's been here every single week, giving Michael and I tips on this video games, and we are very very appreciative. So thank you so much, Captain Blue Blue, for being part of this journey. And we will definitely credit you in our game. A special shout out and thank you to Captain Blue Blue. Yeah, and today, because it is, I'm sorry, today's not Sunday. Today is Wednesday. I'm sorry, guys. Because it's Wednesday, it is Michael's turn. Oh God, I'm like going all crazy with my days.
That's all right.
Yeah. All
That's
right,
it's
go
been a
ahead.
good week.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And I will go ahead and give it to Michael. All right. So cool.
Alrighty. So, Um, oh, and by the way, we're going to try something a little bit different this time in terms of my screen sharing. Previously, via Discord, I've been switching between smoother video and better text readability and seeing the whole desktop. And because Unity doesn't play nice with the Discord screen share, uh, hopefully we've got a fix that maybe takes a lot of that nonsense out of the equation. So we're going to try that today. If anything goes awry, please forgive. We will correct it. But we're trying something new. So uh, just a disclaimer in case there are technical difficulties.
I think it's gonna work perfectly.
Yep, that's the confidence we need.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're looking at today is my update, and where should we start? I guess, well, normally we start with a recap, and I guess before I switch over screens, I'll just give a very brief recap of last time, because really last time we didn't really work, or I didn't really work too much on the rail shooter game because I had been working on this 2D tutorial
Hmm.
from the folks at GameDev.tv. Shout out to them because their courses are amazing and have taught me a ton. Um, and we're not sponsored by them, though we'd like to be.
Yeah.
Um, I basically through that course, I think there were like 5 different projects in there. I did 3 of them, and so I shared that with you guys last time. We did the driver game, the driving delivery game, the
Hmm.
snowboarder game, and the quiz game, which is actually going to make a second appearance tonight. We're going to do Tavern Trivia at the end of the show, so stick around for that. Um, Okay, so that's what I did last time. And then since then, my focus was on actually trying to get to a sort of like working draft prototype of scene 4. Because Chris had given me all of the assets that he'd created with all the tunnels and stuff. And boy, howdy. So I have like good news and bad news.
Oh, nice.
The I like did a lot, so I have a ton to share, but I also still miraculously managed to not get done what I had hoped to get done because in the process of trying to do that, I realized like, oh wait a minute, I can't do that if I don't do this, and
Yeah.
then take another step forward. Oh wait a minute, now I've got to fix this thing before I can do that,
Mm.
and on and on and it just went on like that to the point where I realized like, whoa boy, there's a whole lot of stuff that I need to make and fix before I can actually uh, do something productive here. So forgive me. I've got a lot of cool stuff to share, but yeah, I might be. I am definitely behind on my planned schedule.
It's
So with
okay,
all
man.
that out of the way,
It's all good.
thank you. What I'm going to show you now is actually this. Oh yeah, so I'm going to switch to this. This is basically a Word document that I've created. In order to help me remember all of the stuff that I was adding, I started to like write it down that way I could share it with you guys. And in the process of just it originally it was just like a bullet list for myself, but it kind of like kept growing, and then I was like, this is kind of reading like just patch notes. These are all the things that I'm like adding to the game.
Hmm.
So I guess let me just organize it that way. That way I can share that with you guys. If I switch over here, so I'll kind of go through each of these, but when we get to the ones where there's actually something kind of cool that I can show you in the game, then I'll go ahead and switch to the game and share that with you. The first thing that I did was this sort of overall code cleanup because I had really neglected a lot of the elements of the game, especially the code and the project files and stuff like that. While I was doing all those tutorials, I was like, I'll deal with all that later. But I had a lot of leftover stuff from like the Argon Assault tutorial, which was the tutorial in from the Game Dev TV guys who
Uh-huh.
actually show you how to make the rail shooter. Um, so I took out the things that didn't need there, fixed a bunch of bugs that had kind of been running around in there. There's still probably some things that I need to work on. Including like I've got this little to do here where I'm going to re-implement the scoring script. That way, when you shoot enemies, you actually like your score is going to go up. Um, but anyway, the way that this patch note update reads is each one of these numbered like headings is like a thing that either I added or updated or whatever. So these are kind of like your sort of chapter headings, if you will.
Hmm.
Uh, and then these bullet points kind of tell in a little bit more detail, like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what did overall code cleanup mean? Like, okay, well, it meant that I cleaned up deleted code, leftovers from the tutorials. I also cleaned up the assets folder, got rid of old stuff, reduced some file sizes, because there were some things in there that were huge and I just wasn't using because I
Mm.
imported them but didn't really need them.
Mm.
Um, Fixed some bugs and some other. Oh yeah, when I tried to do the like conversion to Unity 2021
Oh,
and
right,
that thing
right.
broke and yeah, I had to
Yeah.
go backwards. Like that created a bunch of bugs and problems that I had to go chase down. So I think I fixed all of those. Um, so that's
Nice.
what these sort of like bulleted points are. And then if there's anything related to that kind of subject that I didn't get done or that I'm going to try to do in the future, I put in these little brackets with the to do here. So that way I can remind myself and let you guys know, kind of like here's a thing that is on my radar that I'm going to be working on, but I'm not working on it yet.
Nice.
Um, so that was the overall code cleanup, which was really important because it allowed me to do this, especially like cleaning up the assets folder and getting rid of a lot of the old stuff and like reducing file size. Because at some point I realized that, and actually since this is just text on the screen, I'm going to also put myself here a little bit. So, can I? There we go. So you can see me because I think this will be a little bit more interesting than just looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
Code. So let me make that a little bit smaller though. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. So the Git repository. Basically, I reached a point where I was like working on the game, doing a bunch of cool stuff, and realized if my computer exploded right now, we would lose the whole game. I don't have like any backup system. That's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's really irresponsible. I should figure that out. So then my priority for like a couple days became finish learning Git, do what you need to do to get the Git repository or the Git system functioning at least to the point where you can back up your work regularly. And if your
Mm-hmm.
computer does explode, we still have a backup of the project. So I
Yeah.
did that.
Nice.
Um, and it's great. I'm not quite to the point yet where I know how to like collaborate with other people, but
Sure.
if something did go horribly wrong, we wouldn't lose anything. I'd be able to
Right.
get it back.
Right.
And so I can actually show you a little bit of that, but I don't think it's really that interesting. The point is, uh, backup system is good to go now.
Nice.
Okay, now for the more interesting stuff. I updated the gate system. So if you remember from some of the earlier discussions about the game, we had kind of talked about like, is there a way to like have the player pass through an invisible object that could then trigger like events or have things happen? And I was able to kind of like, it took me a while, but I eventually figured out how to at least get that cube to recognize when the player flew through it, and I really didn't do anything else with it after that. Um, and we had also talked a little bit about like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if when like the player is faced at like a fork in the road, they could choose one of two different paths to go down? Like, oh man, that would
Mm-hmm.
be neat. And I was like, I have no idea how to do that. Yes, that would be neat. Um, I figured out how to do that.
Nice.
So I have a gate system now with three different types of gates. There is the original gate that triggers an event when the player passes through it.
Uh-huh.
There is a rail change gate, which is basically a gate that when the player passes through, he can switch to a different rail and then
Oh,
take a different path.
cool. Oh, cool.
And I have a third gate, which is basically it adjusts the speed of the player. So if the player flies through the gate, you can make them slow down, you can make them
Mm.
speed up. So if you want a little section where there's going to be like all hell breaking
Power
loose and there's
boost.
explosions and stuff, like let's zoom through there. Or a section where we want them to slow down and, maybe fight a big heavy enemy that's slow moving or something like that. We can do that. The challenge with that, and actually now I'm going to switch over to Unity to kind of show you some of this stuff. Let's switch to Unity. I'm going to leave myself on there. If
Yeah,
it get in the
please.
way,
Yeah.
you can just let me know and I will get out of there. Do, 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 do. So the gate system. Da, ba, da, ba, ba, ba. Yeah. So actually, where is the player here? Okay, so the player's down there. Um, and actually, I don't know that it's really gonna. Well, I can show this, but I don't know that I can recreate the issue that I had created before. So basically, if I create a cube here, and let's make this cube much bigger. Can I just grab? Uh, I
You,
guess I need to do this one,
yeah. Yeah.
like much bigger. And then we'll move him, because I know the player is going to fly through here. We can get rid of the mesh renderer. Don't need that box collider. I think this has to be set to is trigger. Pretty sure. We'll find out. And then what I do here is I just pick which one of the gate. You can read this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Actually, the
So that,
better question is, Captain Blue Blue, can you read it? Because I can read it.
yes,
Yeah. Let
good
let us know
question.
if you can read it, Cap.
Yeah, because I can adjust the screen settings if it's a little too hard to read. I can maybe make the window a little bit smaller, and that'll make the text bigger. Um, but if you can read these okay, then
Cap says
fantastic.
he can read it. Yep. Thank
Okay,
you, Cap.
cool, great.
Sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay. Thank you.
So basically, I've got these different gates that I can add now. So if I want the event trigger gate, that one will. So actually, let me just click on that so I can show you. So this one's pretty basic. It's just got this little checkbox here that will turn on when the player passes through the cube. And that's all it does. And that one
Hmm.
I'm still working on trying to figure out a way to get that information to broadcast to other things or to like to get the scripts to basically say, when you are triggered, do this other thing, or call this action, or make this thing happen, or tell this other object, hey, I've been triggered, you can do your thing now. Because I
I'm
think that's going to,
triggered.
yeah,
Sorry.
um, that's okay. Uh, and that's going to end up being, so one of the things that I realized, and we'll see it in a little bit when I open what I've done in the Sc.4 sort of sandbox is this I thought was like, oh yeah, that'll be a cool nice to have. But when I was working on the Sc.4 thing, I quickly realized, shit, this game's gonna break if I don't have this functionality. Because in order to save memory, for example, like to kind of like give a minor spoiler, um, the if I have enemies that are like a spawn in a bunch of enemies later in the level, when the level starts and they're just hanging out for like however long it takes the player to get there, that's just a whole bunch of stuff happening in memory and
Uh,
processing power
that we don't
that
see.
yeah, we don't see, we don't need.
Yeah.
So I needed some way to two thoughts there. I'll finish this one and then tell you another one. I needed some way to be able to like put that stuff uh on ice until we needed it. And then
Hmm.
once the
Hmm.
player passes to a certain point, then turn all that stuff on and start using processing power and memory and stuff. And the stuff that's behind us, like we're not going to see that anymore. So get rid of all that stuff. I needed
Right.
some way to be able to trigger those things. So that's that finished thought. The second thought that I had, this was sort of like at a high level. One of the things that I began realizing when actually trying to build out these levels is these sort of like administration and logistics type things where I was like, oh wow, there's a bunch of functionality that I thought was like nice to have stuff, but actually is essential to being able to build like a functioning
Sure.
game.
Sure.
So, most of my time, most of the things that I've made and that we'll look at today are kind of fall into that category where it's like, this is a thing that I thought I didn't really need to work on, but actually I did. So anyway,
Hmm.
back
Hmm.
to the gates. So I'm going to get rid of this one. And so some of the other gates here, we've also got the rail change gate, which is pretty straightforward. You can just specify, which rail you want to switch to, and then also which position on that rail, which is actually really important because I'll show a whole bunch of stuff about the rail changing thing a little bit later because, wow, that was really hard, and I haven't figured out all of the issues. There's still some things that I think are going to be problematic. We'll take a look at that in detail. But for now, the one that I want to show you here is the gate speed change. Originally, I had figured this out and had like rudimentary code so that way when the player moved through it, they would like speed up. But the problem was the change was instantaneous. So if the player was going at, 50 units per second and I had the gate set to 100, as soon as the player touched the geometry of that gate, they would just immediately fly at super speed. So it was like really jarring and jerky. And the same thing with like slowing down. Like if I wanted to bring the player, hit the brakes and slow down, rather than it be like this nice, smooth, gradual thing, it was, major whiplash, like just
Hmm.
immediately stop. And so I went on a quest to try to figure that out, how to solve that, and to be able to say like, okay, I want to set I think the player's current travel speed is where is ship movements base speed is 20, which is actually I'm going to leave that at 20 for this level because I think it's appropriate. I think it's a little bit slow for the other levels, which we'll see later.
No.
Um, but the base speed is 20. So if I go back to my cube, and actually I'm going to rename this to a gate, and I'm going to make it look a little bit more like a gate. Let's make that 0, and we'll do this because we don't need it. We really just need a single plane for it to pass through. We
Sure.
don't need that other
Right.
stuff. So then what I can do here is we know that the plane is, or the player's base ship speed is 20, so I can switch this to, let's like more than double it, let's say 50. And then here I can say, well, how long do you want it to take for the ship to go from its current speed to the new speed? So if you want it to be instantaneous, you leave it at 0. And actually, if I leave that at 0, I think this will show the effect that I was talking about, depending on how I have it programmed. So now you can see that we're flying at our 20 speed. I'm going to zoom a little bit up here. Oh, and the boost is relative to the speed that the player, to the player's base speed.
Oh,
So currently we boost it, I think, like 2.5 times, but that's 2.5 times the base speed of 20. So when we go through the gate, it should change to being 2.5 times whatever we set the gate to, what, 50?
uh-huh.
So now we're about to pass through the gate. You can see we like immediately started to go faster. And maybe that wasn't quite dramatic enough. So if I change this to
Yeah,
like 300,
there you go.
you'll see how like instantaneous it is. Let me boost a little bit. Actually, I need to put a debug function in here where I can give myself infinite boost. That way I don't have to wait for it to recharge.
You're limited by your own programming.
I know. That would be an easy thing to do too. Okay, so now we're gonna pass through the gate and watch.
Whoa, that's basically like going through like a power boost tunnel that'll just project you forward, launch you forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
But in order to like give us some flexibility with like how smooth we want that transition to be, I added in this like seconds to the new speed. So basically what it does is it starts when you pass through the gate at the original speed, and then over this period of time, in this case, since I set it to 3, over the next 3 seconds, it will gradually increase to the new speed.
nice.
It
Uh,
was unbelievably hard to figure out how to do that.
oh
It spent
man,
like 2 hours trying to figure that out. But man, it felt so good when I got it. So were
nice.
you going to ask something,
Congrats.
Chris?
Oh no, I was gonna say, Captain Blue Blue said this speed changing adds so much to the game. Great job to make the transition smooth too.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really proud of this one because it was like it required a lot of like math and also thinking about the. So you can see here, like, woo,
Oh, nice. I love it. That's great.
yeah, a lot smoother. Actually, it seemed like that went a little bit fast, but so I may have some more debugging to do. But generally speaking, that's what that does. So now we have some flexibility with gates and changing the speed of the player.
Right.
Okay, so before we go and look at the rail stuff, there's a couple other things that I want to show you in here. Um, and actually, let me just check my notes again. Okay, yeah. So let's go. Let me switch back to VS Code. Okay, so the next thing that I did was the HitFlash, I call it the HitFlash expansion update. Basically, I cleaned up the HitFlash code because there were some things in there that were a little bit buggy and weren't quite working properly. And then I added functionality. Originally, I added functionality to try to the player. That way, the player's ship would flash when it took damage. But then I thought, like, man, it would be really great if we could shoot other things too, and they would also
Mm-hmm.
flash.
Mm-hmm.
So I modified the script to be just sort of like from being specific, which it was originally. It was written in such a way that it could only work on the drones.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote it to work on the drones and the player's ship, and then I rewrote it again a third time to work on. I think it'll work on anything, like any object that has a mesh renderer. Um, the HitFlash can work on it. So to kind of show you that,
Nice.
let's go back to Unity. And in here, we're not going to have any like objects, but if I hit the button to damage myself, boop, I can flash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like anytime the player takes damage now, we can, flash the player's ship just like we would flash anything else. And I think I'm actually going to try this in here. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see here. Where is there? Yeah, that one right there. I'm going to try this on one of these asteroids. Oh, I guess it's all of these asteroids. Can I? Oh, zoom out. Damn you. So they've got mesh renderers. I don't know that it's going to work for these because these things are like some other material that got like added. This is like a off the shelf thing.
Hmm.
But I'm really curious. I kind of, and this may not work. I haven't tried this yet, so forgive if it doesn't. Actually, if it's doing that, it's probably going to work.
Oh, nice.
Hit materials there. The new transform. New transform. What is that? All right, hang on. I need to check something here. HitFlash. What is this new transform it's looking for? I did this code a couple days ago and I've completely forgotten. Um, well, hey, let's just try this and see if it gives me an error for like something that's referenced. Yeah, it doesn't like that.
Captain Blue Blue says probably always a good idea to make functions work on a general basis. Uh, in in the beginning, did it specific and then hold on, sorry. In the beginning, did it specific and then had to do it double for other game objects too. Now I assume it is general and then apply it to specific objects. Does that make any sense to you, Michael?
Yeah, yep, and that is like a very good programming practice is
Mm.
to, do something that will work in like a certain context and like get that one piece working and then
Hmm.
expand it and then or then
Mm.
like add, okay, that works for this case, now let's add this case, now let's add this case, okay, and then you can see the pattern between them and then you could add it to all the different cases. Okay, so this isn't working. I'm going to give up on that and switch on and go on to the next thing, which I want to go back to my code here. Let's see what's next in here. Destructible objects. Oh yeah, so I basically in it. So once I got the HitFlash thing working for the destructible, or for the for just any old object, like actually what we can do, if I go back to, sorry, I'm trying to get used to
Yeah, no problem. Hey,
doing
gentleman
all the
heavy.
window switching here. Gentleman Heavy, welcome. What I can, whoops, did not want to do that. If I drop another one of those big cubes out here, let's go 3D object cube and switch to, whoops. Um, Destructible object. And now I can make this guy nice and big. Huge. Okay, so we'll give him a HitFlash. I think I gotta put this here, but I'm not 100% sure. I need to add some helper text there. And then I've got this new piece of code right here, this destructible object code, which basically just takes a piece of code that I'd written for the drones, and again, going from specific to general, now anything that you attach it to,
Hmm.
it's going
Hmm.
to keep track of like when it's getting hit.
Nice.
So, okay, he is not even close to the right place. Down here. Okay, that's a little bit closer. Move that up into the line of fire. And now I think this is going to work. Let me get yeah. So I could shoot
Cool.
the yep, and then blow it up. Just like
Hey,
that.
nice.
There obviously it lacks some polish right now. You can't see any like explosion or anything, but at least it reacts
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
the way that the ship would react.
Nice.
Um, let's see here. Back to do, 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 do. Drone laser firing randomness. Oh yeah, so I had actually mentioned this on the call, on the pre-call on Sunday
Sunday,
when
yep.
we were doing your session, Chris.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, what that is, if we go back into here, and let's see here, where's this guy? Attack mode. Actually, before I show you that one, I want to show you one other thing, and I'm going to turn off our allies so that way you could see this a little bit better. And actually, I'm going to get rid of the destructible object too. So this was a big ad. Watch what happens when I shoot this drone.
Oh! Oh God, you did it!
I did it!
Oh, awesome! That's great, dude.
Yeah, so now all of the drones have health bars when you shoot them.
Nice.
They do not appear until you shoot the drone, and they stay oriented towards the camera, so that
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
way, you know, the player always can see the health bar.
Yeah,
Oh wow,
cool.
I'm going too fast. I'm not going to be able
Oh,
to shoot him. I
oh,
forgot about the
oh, oh,
gate.
geez, oh, geez, oh, geez.
Let me turn off that gate. Get rid of that guy. But yeah, so that was a big one.
That's
It
awesome,
was
man.
yeah, was not that difficult to do. But I found a thing and was like, oh hey, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add it to the game. And man,
That's
it's
great.
so much more fun to shoot these things now that you can see the
Yeah.
bar. Like, oh, almost got him. There we go.
Holy cow,
So
good job, man.
satisfying. Yeah, thank
Also,
you.
I don't know if you mentioned it already, but the crosshairs?
Yeah. Oh, yes, the crosshairs. That was another thing.
Yeah.
So if folks remember, there was a bug where the crosshairs used to clip through the environment, and I had no idea how to fix that. I finally figured it out and
Yeah. Good
corrected it.
job,
So now
man.
you can see no matter where I move, like even if the plane clips through environment, like those crosshairs will not. They will stay
Yeah.
on the screen always, which is great. Um,
That's so cool, man. Good job.
and that's another one of those things where I realized that when I put the plane inside the Sc.4 tunnels, immediately was a problem because those things just in that
Uh,
tight space clipped out
yeah.
instantly
Everything.
and you couldn't see
Sure.
it at all.
Sure.
So that was
Sure.
like a huge problem that I was like, well, I got to figure out how to fix that because this game's going to be unplayable if that doesn't work.
You're right.
I mean, these might have a little bit too much health, or maybe I just suck at my own game. Um, But yeah, so that was another one. The heads-up display, the targeting reticle, now does not pass through the environment, which is fantastic.
That's great, man.
Um, yeah. So let's see. What else? Back to okay, so the drone laser fire randomness. We'll see that in a bit, but basically all that is when the drones are shooting at you, originally the fire rate was on a very set pattern, so they'd all fire simultaneously.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
added a little bit of noise to that, so one will
Cool.
shoot like 2 or 3 times, and then another one will wait a second or two. We'll see a little bit of that later. Okay, the shield system, I updated that a little bit, a couple of minor tweaks and things. Nothing too crazy. I added a little bit of a background to the shield bar. That way you can see the portion of it that has been depleted. Before it was just like it was just the foreground bar. So when it depleted, you couldn't really tell like how full it was or wasn't.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so scene 3 and 4. I imported the assets from Chris. That's a perfect segue for us to switch over to scene 4, and I'll show you some cool stuff
Oh,
there.
cool.
So if we go to the scene 4 construct, yeah, don't need to save any of that stuff. So basically what I did is I started with just like oh shit, sorry, let me orient myself here. I started with just like a big import of all the assets that you gave me, Chris, and I kind of just
Hmm.
organized them in this like little library over here.
Hmm. Hmm.
That way I had an idea of like, okay, here's all the pieces that I'm working with. And then my idea was like I was going to go through and start piecing everything together. But before I did that, I wanted to do some like experimentation with the different pieces, and I showed you a bit of this earlier,
Right.
which was basically like, what is the appropriate size of these tunnels? Um, because those pieces were, they're all uniform in size, but
Hmm.
relative to like the game and the size of the drones and the size of the player's ship, I was like, how is this going to work? So what I did was I basically took this is the same piece, the same like curved rail, and I basically did a size that's 3 times the size of the import model, so it's 3 times as big. Then
Hmm.
I did this one here is 5 times as big, and this big one at the end is 10 times as big.
Mm.
And I did that so that way we could go through. Let's see, let me just make sure that we're on the right. Yes. Okay, so if I hit play, hopefully this works. Yeah. So here you
Oh,
can
cool.
see we're inside the size 3, and now we just moved into the size 5.
5.
Um, and I can zoom a little to catch up with these drones, and I can shoot them. Their health bars appear. These guys
So
have a
cool.
lot more health. And I think now we're in the size 10, which is pretty big. And one of the things that you may have noticed too is it feels like we're slowing down. Like we're going pretty fast right here. And then when we cross over this threshold, we slow down a little bit. And then when we cross over the next threshold coming up around the bend, it's going to feel like we slow down even more. Like, okay, big slowdown right there.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, the speed of the ship has not changed. It might be a little hard to see, but over here you can see the speed is
Mm-hmm.
set at 45,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't change it at all. It just feels faster and slower depending on how close in the walls are, which I guess is another one of those like working in 3D things that's like strange with earlier in a couple of episodes ago we had talked about like, man, you've got to make the player ship move really really fast when
Mm-hmm.
the environment is so big.
So big, right?
um, which is yeah, that has continued to be true through my experiments both with scene 3 and scene 4 and scene 3.
And scene
um,
5 as well, like just doing it in Blender. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Well,
So
I could totally say that the reason why, 3, 5, and the last one, I think it's you said it was 10 times bigger. Um,
yep.
is because as you're making it bigger, the distance between each of the sections,
hmm
it gets enlarged. So yeah, exactly. So it has to travel a lot farther in order to get to the next section, if you will. And then so, for example, right when when you start in scene 3, the compartments are so close together, it feels like lines are just whoosh, like going right past you really, really closely. But then as you get bigger and bigger, the lines are farther away. It's kind of like driving, when you're
mm-hmm.
outside driving. Um, the rails, the telephone poles that's like right next to you, on the side of you, you're passing whizzing by them. But if you look farther into the distance, like in the mountains, you don't feel like you're actually moving at all. But things that are much closer to you will definitely feel a lot faster. And so I think that's exactly what's happening um, when we do the scale it at number 3, 3 scale. Um, I, I I would say the middle one seems pretty good. What is it? The 5?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad to hear you say that because that was the one that I went with for like additional experimentation.
Oh, good.
I mean, I think 3 and 10 can have their place. Like if you want to do
Sure.
a couple of sections where you're like, ooh, really tight quarters in 3,
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
fast, and like have that
Mhm.
be kind of fun. Or do a 10 where it's like, ooh, big open room and there's a bunch of enemies in it. Like that could be fun too. But
Yeah.
as sort of like the baseline for the tunnels, like most of the tunnel corridors, I think it's appropriate for it to be this for this 5
Yeah.
because it feels like
Yeah.
claustrophobic enough that it's
Mhm.
going to be different than scene 3 that we came from and scene 5 that we're going into.
Right.
Um, but it's also still big enough, as you could see, that you can have 2 drones side by side, no problem. Whereas with the
Right.
3 times size corridor, those 2 drones actually were clipping through the walls because there
Right.
just
Right.
wasn't enough room for them.
Yeah. And Captain Blue Blue says, I'm guessing the size of the room makes it feel slower, like a hill in the distance along the highway. Yep, exactly what I just said. Yep.
Yeah,
Totally, totally,
perfect.
totally. Yep. Yep, yep, yep.
Um, okay, while we're in here, I want to show you something that was like a huge pain in the ass and I haven't completely figured it out. You know how I was mentioning the sort of like the rail gate thing where you
Uh-huh.
can
Uh-huh.
pass through a gate and it'll switch rails?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, this is gonna be cool.
that posed a lot of challenge, and I've got at least I think a working solution, but I kind of want to show you what the challenge was, and then I'll explain how I was able to fix it. So
Right.
right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new rail. Let me move this. Yeah, sure, here, whatever, that's fine. And then I want to do a smooth machine path or center machine path, And so now I've got my Cinemachine path here, and we'll put the start right there. Let me zoom. Can't grab that waypoint. There we go. Okay, so I've got 1, 2 there. Let me add another one, and we'll move it over here. Let's add another one and move it over there. This isn't the right. Okay, that's actually a little bit high. That's looking pretty good. That's good enough for our purposes. And let's just add a couple of more coming around the bend here. And right after we get into the next section, we'll just go ahead and stop it right there. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go to our player rig and I can say, I want you on, I think I've called it the test rail. I think it's this one. I guess I have another test rail somewhere. Oh, I know which one that one is. And so now, that guy, yeah, he's on there. So now if I hit play, now it's basically, it's almost the same thing as what we are just looking at, but you technically are on a different rail. So he's going to stop right here. So that's the rail he's on.
Yep.
And so now what I can do is if I wanted to like have the player jump to a different rail, let's go new object, test rail, jump to. And we will add another Cinemachine path. Whoops, let's do this. Grab the first one and let's do it right there. Whoops. Grab that guy, put him over here. Add another one.
Oh, while you're doing that, I'm gonna read Captain Blue Blue. He says,
Sure.
I also think that the panels are doing it to feel slower. The larger rooms have larger panels than the normal size one, making it feel scaled up. It would feel faster if a room twice as large had the same size panels as the normal room, just more of them,
Mm.
because at least read the speed by the panels line. Yep, exactly. Having them past the player much less often makes it feel slow. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's because the distance of the panels are farther away. You feel like you need to travel much longer. Therefore, it feels like you're slowing down. He also says, "I hope I made sense." Yep, totally makes sense. Cap. I would, if you have time to do a new check with the lines, evenly spaced even in the large rooms, they will see the effect. Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. Basically, have the same size. If we wanted to keep this speed consistent, use the same instead of just scaling it up. I would have to use the same scale of the paneling in order for everything to look consistent. So I totally understand what you're talking about, Blue Blue. Yeah, very good comment, man. Heavy
Yeah,
says
good point.
have 5 times be your standard corridors, 3 times be an offshoot maintenance corridors like thing, and the 10 times be higher traffic areas like the interstate of the installation. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty smart.
love it. Great ideas. Okie doke. So I think I'm just about set up here. So I've got a gate that I just added, right? I actually need to prefab this. The reason I don't have that is because this is all hot off the presses. I had
Yeah,
did the gate thing just yesterday.
nice.
Okay, so now what I can do is I go ahead and add my gate for the rail change. So click that, and the player is currently on the test rail, and I want to have him switch to the test rail jump to. So and actually I'm going to rename this to my rail gate. So in here, I just click this and I say like, okay, I want you to jump to that one. And so now what's going to happen, I think, when I hit play, is when the actually gotta make that trigger. When the player passes through here, he's
Hmm.
going to jump from this rail to this rail.
Nice.
And you can see too, like relative to where the gate is, the new rail, actually, maybe I can move it back a little bit to kind of get it close to where that gate is. But this is going to highlight the point. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit play. Let's see what happens. Going through, nearing the gate. Whoop. Did you see it?
Yep, it's like a cutscene. Yep.
Yeah, that little jump right there. Oh, you know what? It's actually no. Maybe not. I thought it was looping. But yeah, there's that little jump there,
Yeah.
And that was driving me crazy. I was like, I need to figure out how to fix that. That turned out to be a really, really difficult problem to solve. Um,
Wow.
because what I would need to do to solve that problem is I've got our original rail here, right? And if I click
Uh-huh.
here, you can see you've got these different nodes here. And
Mhm.
each one of these nodes is represented over in the inspector here by one of these waypoints. And the
Mhm.
waypoint has this position, this X position, this Y position, this Z position. So originally I thought like, oh, that's going to be easy. If I want it to jump off the rail at, let's say 0.5 or, no, actually let's do node 4 because that's close to where the gate is currently, and I want it to jump onto the new rail around that same spot, I have to get these two things in the same position, and then and then tell the gate when the player reaches that position, jump to the other rail at
Mm.
that spot. The problem is these waypoints, these positional coordinates, are not world coordinates. They are relative
Oh, local.
to yes, they're local coordinates to that rail object. So the
Sure.
rail object has a 0 point, or like wherever it is in the world, and all
Mhm.
of these coordinates are relative to its 0 point. So if I have two different rails, they have completely different coordinates. I was like,
Mhm. Mhm.
damn it. So I tried a couple of different things. I was like, okay, I can outsmart this. What if every single rail was set at 0, 0? Then every like all of the coordinates for each rail, sure, they're going to be relative to that rail's zero, like where that rail is, but because all of the rails are zeroed at the same place, all of their coordinates would be in the same spot.
Sure.
So I did that. It was a big pain in the ass because then like because right now like the rail that I have selected here, you can see all these different nodes here, but the actual rail object is right here.
Mm.
And if I were to, and you can see this thing is nowhere near
Right.
zero. If I were to zero that thing,
It
he
would
might be like way out in
way over
Timbuktu.
there. Right.
And so then if I wanted to do something, simple like, oh, this is offset a little bit. Let me just, do that. I couldn't do. I'd have to go find the
Yeah.
thing. It was this big, like, okay, that's totally impractical and not going to work. So I had to find a different way around it. And basically the way that I got around it is let's see, where's my rail change thing here? Um, I basically coded in uh, the railgate can tell so you feed in which rail you want the player's ship to jump to, and also the rail position. So if I have this rail right here, and that railgate's currently set to 0. When the player passes through the gate, it's going to switch to this rail at this position. That means it's going to switch to this rail at 0. If I
Mm.
change the rail gate to 3, when the player passes through that gate, it's going to switch to that rail at this position, which means this rail at this position, this
Right.
node down here.
Yeah.
So there we go. I got a little bit more functionality there to kind of like help uh, bridge that gap a little bit. Then I could maybe just overlap those rails and then have them uh, just make sure that the nodes lined up and that when we switched from one rail to the other one, we just did it right at that node. That also was like really crazy difficult to do. But the way that I figured out how to do that is by using the rail itself. Uh, how did I do this? I gotta try to remember this. Oh, right. So when the actually now I might be mistaken about how I solved this. Uh, because one of the things that I did in the in the player ship script is right here. This very, or actually, I don't even know if you guys can see that. Let me open this up and then I'll scroll to it in Visual Studio Code because it'll be a little bit easier to see.
Nice.
So this is the script. All of this code basically manages the player's ship. when there's a lot of it in here, so it's like handling all the controls and accessing the different things that it's going to interact with, so processing translation, firing, and the movement of the ship and all that jazz. All the way at the bottom here, I have this thing called, this new method called change rails, which is a public method. That's what this little public here means, which all that really means is that this function is available to other things in the game. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just for the player ship, so other objects can call it.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this works is the gate, when the player ship passes through there, the gate calls this function. It says, hey, player ship, I'm going to call your change rails function, and I'm going to pass you these two variables. The first one is the rail. It's the rail I want you to change to. And the other one is a float of the position. It's the position on that rail I want you to change to, which we kind of looked at a second ago. And one of the things that I have this doing right here is when the ship passes through that gate, I'm telling it immediately print to the console your exact position on the rail that you're on right now. That way, what I can do is I can then use those parameters to get the second rail in the exact position that I want it to change from one rail to the other. As I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing it's sounding probably way more complicated and not making a whole lot of sense. So just bear with me. It was really
Uh-huh.
tricky to figure out how to do this, but
Yeah.
basically, I was able to figure out a way to get the ship to say, hey, here's where I am when I'm passing through the gate. So this is where you need to tell me to jump onto the next rail.
Nice.
And I was able to get it to work because if I go click on here, okay, so we don't need any of this stuff anymore. I'm going to get rid of these guys. Get rid of these guys. Tell the player rig to go back to this rail. That whole time when I first was showing you guys this sequence, originally, this actually includes a rail jump right there, which is seamless. You can't see it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a little bit of a trick because what I did was I actually have two rails that are like placed in the exact same spot, but it was this huge victory because I was actually able to get the player's ship to jump from one rail to the other without there being
See.
any like visible jump.
Yeah.
And
Good job.
one of the things that was really tricky about that was the way I had programmed it originally, when it passed through the gate, it would immediately change the player to the other rail at that position and would pass through the gate again. And so then the gate would put it at that position and it would pass through the gate again. So it got
Mm.
stuck in this loop where it was just like once it hit the gate, it was like.
Oh wow.
So what I was like, well, shit, how do I do this? Like maybe I got to put it a little bit before or maybe like elongate the gate. The simple solution was just destroy the gate. Once the player goes through the gate, just destroy it because we don't need it
Ah.
anymore.
Right.
So what I did, I think it's in here. Where is that gate?
Destroy the gate.
Hmm. Where the hell did I put it? I know there's a gate because it's jumping. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so there's the gate right there. I'm gonna hit play. I'm gonna switch back to this scene so you can see as the player's coming around the bend here. Yeah, the drones are gonna pass through there, and player passes through the gate. Gate's
Boop.
gone on
Yeah.
the new rail. Totally
Nice.
seamless.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm still working out the kinks because basically the way that I figured out how to do that is I took the existing rail and then I duplicated it, laid it
Mm-hmm.
on top of it, put the gate as a child of the rail that I wanted to switch to, because then that meant that the position of the gate in the world space could be precisely aligned with any of these coordinates because they're both parented to the sort of like same object,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
which means, when the node 5 is at exactly negative 145.703 blah blah blah
Sure.
at the x position, I can put the gate at that exact position and know that it's going to be right on top of that node, which was,
Mm.
man, Anyway, I'm getting way into the weeds on this. The point of all that is just that I think I've mostly figured out a way for us to have smooth rail transitions. I still need to work with it a little bit, but one of the big reasons for that is because I realized uh, how complicated it is to make a rail when it's starting to get much longer than what we have, right? Because like right here, we already have a rail that's like a dozen units, and you can see the list over here is filling up.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I start building something like this,
Ooh, look at that. Oh,
that
look at that.
rail system gets nuts. Like there's like 30 different pieces there.
Right. Right.
So I was like,
Whoa.
I need a way to be able to build this in small chunks because if we decided like right here, if we're like, actually, instead of going down there, wouldn't it be cool if we went and did like a little loop-de-loop over here and then came back? Well, how the hell do I do that with, this existing rail? Like I could grab this and stick that out there, but then I'm gonna have to like, and then, add a new node in between the 12 and the 11, and
Uh-huh.
it just became this big pain in the ass. And also managing this list over here is also a big pain in the ass. Um, and if I wanted to move like multiple pieces at once, like I can't really do that. If I was like, these are all just slightly misaligned, so if I could just lift them up a little bit, that would be great. But I can't do that. But if I can build the rail in pieces and then just connect the pieces, that's going to make actually building these levels way, way more functional.
Sure.
So that was part of the reason for actually trying to spend all this time figuring out the rail
Mm-hmm.
gate
Mm-hmm.
system, is because it suddenly became like essential to actually being able to make the game. But now with that teaser out of the way, I'll actually show you
Yeah.
this new rail system. Um,
Cool.
so actually, I'm going to tease you a little bit more. Before we look at that, I want
Oh,
to show
come
you one
on.
other thing. I know. So one of the things that I did to kind of get started was this brainstorm, right? Just like in text, really easy, lightning fast. Like, okay, what are some moments that could happen in this Sc.4
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thing that we're gonna do? So I went back and watched some of the old like arcade references, and like as things popped into my head, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, ooh, this, we could do a twist on that in our game. So, I just wrote some things down, like close in, fast switchback section where there are not that many enemies, but maybe it's kind of moving really fast and exhilarating.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that like size 3 tunnel that's really close quarters. Um, what about a series of destructible blockages, like which we had talked about before, that the player can
Right.
either dodge or shoot, which I've actually included. Um, Big room with a whole bunch of drones all at once, and yada yada yada, so on and so forth.
Nice.
And getting all this onto paper is helpful because then when I'm building the level and trying things out, I can actually just like, okay, let me go down the list and like try to make this thing, try to make that thing, and have like a bit of a roadmap instead of trying to figure out both what to do and how to do it. I figure out what to do first in this brainstorm list, and then figure out how, like the how execution afterwards, which is like, I don't know, essential for me to like separate those parts of my brain power,
Mm.
because otherwise I just can't do it. Okay, so
No,
now
I hear
without
you. Yeah.
further ado, I'll show you what we
Press
got here.
play. Press play.
Here we go. So we
Oh,
open,
yeah.
got a couple of drones in the tunnel here that we can pick off, coming around these nice, beautiful curves. I can zip through here, shoot this guy. And by the way, I did not get nearly as much time to spend on creating stuff here as I wanted to because of like all the stuff that we've been looking at
Sure,
so
sure,
far, all
sure.
these
Yeah.
pieces. But you can see there's an obstacle right there. We got to kind of like dodge. Another drone here.
Cool. Yeah.
Got another obstacle here, but if you don't want to dodge it, you can just shoot it, blow it up. Now it's out of the way. There's another one there. Oh, dodge
Oh,
that
jeez.
way. Oh, there's another one. We're not going to be able to shoot it,
Oh,
so let's
shit.
get out of the way here. Okay, cool. Coming up through
Nice.
here. Like, oh, what's going on? What's up here? Oh, wow, what's happening here? Oh no, the doorway, it's blocked. We got to shoot that. Okay, cool. We
Nice.
got it.
Nice,
What do
nice,
we got
nice.
there? Sweet. Coming up.
Oh,
Oh no,
cool.
it's an ambush. There's all kinds of
Ah,
drones in here.
ah,
Oh, Jesus.
ah,
Oh,
that's
got
so
them all.
cool.
Whew. That was a bit intense, but it looks like
Nice.
the coast is clear. So, oh my God, it's an even bigger
Oh,
ambush.
oh,
Like,
jeez.
no, what's
Whoa, what the
happening
hell?
here?
Whoa, oh,
They're
cool. Oh
coming
my
in
God.
through the
Oh my
vents.
God. Oh,
This is
shit.
nuts.
This is cool.
And that's as far
Very
as I got.
cool. Very, very cool, man. Oh
So
God,
yeah, and
that's
like nowhere.
awesome.
Thanks. I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as much like in that brainstorm list that I just showed you. This is only like the first three things. So there's like way
Hmm.
more stuff that I wanted to try, but I just didn't have time because I was building all these sort of like
Sure.
functional pieces and kind of kept running
Yeah.
into problems. But you can at least kind of start to see the different the the sort of feel or the different kind of like little moments that we can start programming into it. Um, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and the chat's thoughts as well. Like, what do you guys think so far?
I think it's great. I want to see more. I mean, I know this is what you have right now, but I just feel like I want to spend more time in this space. I know this is like a transition between, 3 and 5, but this tight corridor it has so much possibilities of what we can do, especially what you just did in the biggest room where there's like an intersection. Yeah, right here, they're like flying in and out of each of those corridors. That's so cool,
Yeah,
man.
I
That's
mean,
so hectic.
obviously the animation's like pretty janky because I was just
Sure,
trying to
sure.
like put this
Yeah, yeah,
together
yeah.
really quickly to kind of like convey the idea of like, oh yeah, you're gonna have these tunnel or these like vents on the sides that they're gonna kind of be pouring in through, and I
Right,
want it
right,
to feel like you've just flown into a literal hornet's nest where they're like
right.
coming in from all the different holes. Um, so yeah, and to your point, one of the things that I kind of realized while doing this was, yeah, I want to spend a lot more time in this space too. Where I had originally thought this was going to be a quick little
Mhm.
like dip in and dip out sort of a thing.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
got so many ideas, and I love the pieces that you've created, and the feeling of like flying through here. I really want to add a lot more to it. And
Yeah.
whereas this scene maybe originally would have been like 90 seconds, 2 minutes tops.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we could probably spend 5+ minutes in here, have a lot
Nice.
of cool moments,
Yeah.
do some really neat stuff, and then move on to the next scene, or maybe even more. Maybe like this could be like a 5 to 10 minute thing.
Yeah.
And when I was like doing that and also looking at what we had done with scene 3 and scene 5, I started to realize, man, we did it again. We set out to make this like, let's just do the first level, just one little small vertical slice. And I kind of feel like if we put in the effort to make each one of these pieces, let's say 10 minutes long, which I think is
Uh-huh.
totally doable,
Uh-huh.
with the 4 pieces, that's a 40-minute game. That's like
Wow.
that's longer than some of the arcade references that we looked at. Even if we only
Uh-huh.
did like
Uh-huh.
5 minutes a piece, it'd be a 15 to 20 minute game, which is on par with like a typical arcade rail shooter.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I
So,
mean, yeah, cause I mean, even though scene 4 is about the corridors, it's a tight space, but there's now I'm seeing how you constructed. There it seems like there's just so much possibilities of what we can do, you know. Maybe scene 4 can have its own little mini boss. Who knows, right? I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh man,
right?
I'm so glad to hear you say that because yeah, I've been thinking about the missile bots and kind of making
Oh
them
yeah.
really big and really slow moving with lots of armor.
Mhm.
So like,
Mhm. Mhm.
those would make really good mini bosses. And
Sure.
I've also been thinking about ways to use existing models to make additional potential enemy types. Some of it hasn't quite worked out so far. I thought like, oh, what if I took the T drones, this is a standard drone, and made them like smaller, but like in a big swarm, and maybe they have less health, so they're kind of like shooting gnats or mosquitoes or something.
Yeah.
Um, didn't quite work because when I made the drones even a little bit smaller than what they are right now. Uh, and maybe it's something I can play with and tweak. But when I made them just a little bit smaller, they were really hard to see and really
Uh-huh.
hard to shoot.
Uh.
They were like literal mosquitoes.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So it's pretty tough. But yeah. So anyway,
Well, let's see what Captain Lulu said.
yeah, please.
He says, "I love that this shows more of the game idea. I have an idea that similar to the rail shooter um microcosm. You are
Mhm.
chasing an enemy who is creating debris and sending enemies on you while you are trying to chase and catch up with them. Just an idea.
Hell yeah.
That's
Yep,
cool.
that's a great idea. Yeah, and that reminds me, another like core function that I want to add to the game, because I think it will help with a lot of things, is I want us to be able to turn the plane around and have the plane fly backwards.
Oh, cool.
Seems pretty easy, but programming wise, it's kind of I don't know how to do that right now, like smoothly and seamlessly.
Uh-huh.
I have some ideas, but it is going to be something that I'm going to need to try to figure out. And the reason for that is because when I was looking at the reference material, I realized how many like of the really awesome moments in rail shooters are when you are traveling backwards in reverse, when there's something chasing you as opposed to
Oh.
you, going forward all the time.
Oh.
Um, so I want to try to find a way to do that because I think there could be it would basically like double the amount of gameplay
Sure.
options and gameplay
Right.
feel because instead of
Right.
just going forward all the time at different speeds, you can also go backwards. And in that
Yeah.
case, to piggyback on Captain Blue Blue's idea, we could also have a character or an enemy who's chasing you, and you need to like he's like charging to get closer to you, and you got to do enough damage to get him to like stumble, and then you know create a little bit of space between you and him, and then he charges you again,
Right.
and you got to kind of try to do that, or having just a swarm of enemies that are like flying after you. There's something about that
Mhm.
is fun and interesting in a way that's a nice different twist on um,
Yeah.
just straight up flying forward. Because one of the other things that I noticed is like in a lot of those arcade games, they kind of have that cadence, that rhythm where there's like, here's a section where you're going forward and you're shooting enemies that have very low health. So
Mhm.
there's a whole bunch of them. And now here's a section where you're doing the same thing, going forward, shooting enemies, but they have a lot of health and there's just a couple of them. Now here's another section where you're going backwards this time and there's enemies, but this time they have very low health, but there's a whole bunch of them and they're kind of hanging back, waiting, and they're all going to attack you at once. So you got to try to pick
Yeah.
off as many as you can before they lunge.
Right, right,
So
right.
there's all these different ways to create like variety in the
Mhm.
moments. So it's not just the same thing. Just like I'm flying down a tunnel with drones that are slowly flying backwards and shooting
Right.
at me.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I can actually turn on, let's see, where the early tunnel, yeah, early drones. If I go in here, oh, that's right, I need to. So, uh, I'm going to add some scriptable objects. That's going to be one of the big things I'm going to try to do between now and next time to make some of this functionality a little bit easier. Because what I'm going to do right now is I want to turn on the attack mode for the drones. That way you guys can see them shooting at us.
Nice.
But unfortunately, I have to go in here and click like each one of these individually. There's a way to do with scriptable objects, I think, to make that just like a single switch that I need to flip.
Mhm. Mhm.
But so if I do that, and now we go back in here, you're going to see they're actually going to be shooting at us.
Oh, sweet.
And technically, they can shoot each other. I still haven't fixed friendly fire, so I'm not shooting. They're just killing each other.
That's pretty funny.
But you can
You,
see that. Or go ahead, Chris.
oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, talking about going backwards. There's a roller coaster ride. I think it's either at Disney or Universal. I can't remember which one. Or is it even at Six Flags? Again, I don't remember. But I know I've been on a roller coaster where you go forward and then all of a sudden the abominable snowman or something like comes out and then we have to go go in reverse and then the roller coaster goes
Oh,
backwards. I
are you
don't
thinking
remember.
of Expedition Everest
Maybe,
and
I
Animal
yeah, yeah,
Kingdom?
yeah. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I'm getting a flashback right now. Yeah, 'cause it's like a monster that shows up and then we have
Mm-hmm.
to like go backwards.
The
Um,
Yeti.
yeah, all this talk reminds me of being on that ride.
Yeah. So if we can find a way to have moments like that where you can like slow down and then back up, like, oh, that would be
Yeah,
so cool. And
right, right.
I think I think I can get us there, but I don't know how
Nice.
to do that right now.
Yeah, no problem. And Captain Blue says, could you make prefabs or rail pieces like loops, twists, etc.? And also
Hmm, that's
perhaps
an
you
interesting thought.
perhaps you could switch to a back-facing camera and have a defensive turret mode, kind of like those rear gunners on old World War II bombers. Yeah, I like that idea too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, just moving the camera around to the front would be really easy. Like I could do that now, but the gun system shoots forward. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Very
Hmm.
helpful
Hmm.
suggestion. Thank you for that's the gears are turning in my brain.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see what I can do. But yeah, it would be that it'd be really great to be able to get some kind of way to move backwards. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Are
Thanks,
these
Captain Lulu.
all?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Where are the? Or maybe it was the rando
I'm
drones.
loving what I'm seeing so far, Michael.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Attack
Boy,
mode.
it would. I was really worried that it was like, man, I'm coming up empty-handed. Like I didn't do near like I wanted to have everything in that brainstorm done for you guys. That way I could show you like a dozen things and be like, okay, which of these do you like? Which ones do you not like? Where do I have room for improvement? And the next time you see this, I'm gonna have all that ironed out. But like I said, I spent so much time building stuff that I didn't have enough time to play around with like making sandbox concepts.
Yeah, no
But we'll
problem.
get there.
Is there someone behind you shooting at you right now?
Yeah. So the my ship speed is a little bit faster than the drones. So if I don't shoot them, they end up passing me and then they're shooting me
Oh,
in the
and
ass.
shooting ass. Got it. Got it. What? Oh, that's a interesting situation. What would happen? Can you just
Yeah.
can you just set them to be
To just
self-destruct?
chase you. Oh, yeah.
Like,
So good question. So see, this is exactly why that event system is going to be really important, is because then once the player passes a certain point, we can like because right now all those drones still exist in the world. Like if I
yeah.
switch here
Right, right.
and go here, like this guy, he's still shooting away,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
even though like we don't need him for anything anymore.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like when I start the game and I switch over here, you can see all of this chaos is
Holy
happening
cow.
here.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
spending all of this time processing all these drones and moving them along all these rails. And apparently this guy got his fire thing turned on, so he's trying to snipe shot us from across the map.
Oh
That's
man.
pretty cool. Wow, look at all
So
these bullets going over there.
so this right now is
It's like a
actually
starship.
taking up memory right now, right? Which
Correct. Yep.
okay, got
It's
it.
taking it both memory and processing power
Oh,
because all of these like the guys who are static here, that's not really taking up that much processing power, but all the ones that are moving around, it's got to calculate like okay, for drone number X137 on
yeah.
rail whatever, what position is he, what is his speed, here's where he is now, re-render it, do all that stuff. So there's no need to be doing any of that while the
Mhm.
player is 3 miles away. Like doesn't
Right, 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 right.
why bother?
Yeah.
So anyway, that is something that I definitely need to fix before we can move too much further. Uh, but I've got a couple of ideas of how that can work. And another thing that I need to create is like an enemy spawn, uh,
Mm, mhm, mhm.
like object or script or something. That way, when the player does pass through uh, that that gate, we can then say like, okay, for in this space right here that we're looking at, maybe we put a gate right about where this gizmo is, and when the player passes through there, like, okay, turn on all of the enemy spawners, and then it'll just start generating enemies that will come in through
Yeah.
these
Right.
tunnels just before the player gets there. That way, when the player turns around the corner, there's this room full of drones,
Mhm.
uh, but they're not loaded in there when the level starts. Like, it doesn't make
Right.
sense to do that.
Right. Captain Blue
So,
says, "I love it so far." He also says the
yeah.
drone
Thanks, man.
should have range, I guess. I think that's the comment where we say
Ooh,
like
yeah.
it's just like shooting at us from a far distance. And he also says perhaps a sleep mode outside a radius from the player. Oh, like it
Mm,
awakens if
hmm
it gets within its proximity.
totally.
Cool.
Yeah, these are
That's an
great.
idea. Yeah, thanks, Captain Blue Blue.
I'm just gonna write some notes here. Rear view camera. Yeah, those are really great notes. And I definitely want to find a way to get something coded in. That way we can control the chaos that's happening
Mhm.
a little bit
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so that's I think that's everything I have to show for scene 4. Um, that's worth looking at. Is there anything else there? Yeah, I think that's it.
So
Um,
before you move on, so one of the
uh
things I want to just go through in the model is that
Sure. Oh,
I
you want me
I
to
love. Oh, it doesn't
here?
matter. Whichever is fine. Like you see the blocks, the obstacles right now.
Yeah,
You put that there as a substitute asset, right? So therefore
correct.
now that I know there's gonna be something there, you can export this model to me, and then somehow either
Hmm.
export it as a FBX, and then I could take
Huh?
that, and then I could just be like, all right, so there's a block right here. Obviously, it's not gonna be a block. We want something cool to be here. So I would
Yeah.
just from that placement, I will take that block and then just create a cool looking asset and then make it and then give it to you and then you could replace the new assets with the block. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's a good workflow. So this is exactly what I was talking about for scene 3 as well. It's like
Mm-hmm.
since now you have set up kind of like the environment, you know as a designer what obstacles slash bad guys that is in this space. I can now design for it because I don't want to just start designing stuff in the vacuum, like things you don't need, right? But now that I absolutely know you want this object up top right there, yeah, see, something up there. Now I know I can design something for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that's perfect because that's just like the gray box design, right? Like I know I
Yep.
want something here and
Yep.
I can put in some basic functionality, but we'll figure out the rest of it later. Like, is it a
Yeah.
door? Is
Exactly.
it some kind of like big, I don't
Yeah.
know, crazy pipe or something? Who knows?
Yeah. Because right now
We know
it's
some.
all about the gameplay. Because if it feels good, it's fun. Now what I'm doing is I'm just creating the wrapper, the making it look nice. But the functionality is already there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point, man. And that's uh good to know. And I'll try to see if there's some way for me to like export this in a way that you can like re-import. Yeah, I'll see. However, now that I have the GitHub set up, there might be a way for you to just clone what I have, and then you would just get the full file, and you could just do what I'm doing right now. You could just like go in and
Yeah.
play the game and try
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So not right now on stream, but at some
Sure.
point
Sure.
down the
Sure.
road,
Sure. Yeah. 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 That's
we can
exactly what I'm talking about. Yep.
uh play test that and figure out how to get
Yeah.
that working.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okie dokie.
Very
All right.
cool, man. Good job, dude.
Anything else on scene 4, guys, before I move on and show you something else?
Nothing from me. Nothing from Captain Blue Blue.
Okay, great. So let's go back to my handy list of patch updates. Oh, that's my scene 4 brainstorm ideas and some notes from Captain Blue Blue and yourself. So that'll be helpful. Okay, so imported scene 3 and 4 assets. We'll get to scene 3 in just a second. I just want to do a little catch up to make sure I got through the rest of the stuff. Targeting reticle bug fix. We already talked about that.
Nice.
Uh, the new drone health bar, which I hope was
Nice.
a fun
That
surprise.
was awesome, man.
That was the thing where like when we were on Overwatch earlier this week, and I was like, "Oh, Chris, you're gonna love it, man." I had because it was like, "Oh,
Yes.
this is Chris's idea. I got it in there."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, oh yeah, so this was really just a note for myself. This drone rigid body collisions. Well, actually, no. This is a note for everybody. You may remember in some earlier versions of the game, the drones would do this weird thing where sometimes they would just like fly out into space, right? They would just be like they would
Oh,
like
yeah.
detach from their rail or whatever. And you're like,
Right,
man, that's
right, right,
weird. Why
right.
is that happening? Well, I
Yeah.
figured it out. There was some like weird piece of code that was adding a rigid body to the drones, and so when they have a rigid body attached to them, they then collide with things. So then when the like ally ships would fly through them, it would
Uh-huh.
detect that, oh, I'm hitting something. I better fly away now. So what I
Oh.
did was I updated that code to because I think the rigid body is needed to detect the particle collisions or something. But what I did was basically say, go ahead and add the rigid body, but right after you do, set it to kinematic. That way,
Mm.
it will not respond to physics uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
physics logic in the game.
Sure. Sure. Nice. Good
So
job.
so yeah. Yeah, thank you. Because that was another thing where I was, especially as soon as I got them into the little tunnel, they were just like all over the place. Like, I could not,
Yeah.
like, oh well, this isn't gonna work. So yeah, moving into the scene 4 stuff, like, revealed all of these problems that I didn't realize
Mm.
I had going in,
Mm.
but fixed a lot of them, so that's good.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, and then last here, I have kind of like my to-do list. These are other things that I have as sort of like to-dos that I either need to do or want to do, and I kind of broke them up into 3 different categories here. We've got production functionality, gameplay functionality, and polish, which are pretty self-explanatory, but basically production functionality is like, this is something that I think we need in order for us to build the game.
Mm.
Um, Gameplay functionality is something that's maybe not necessary for us to make the game, but it's like going to add to the actual gameplay so that we could like add a new ability for the player to do a thing. And then polish is basically like, it's not going to add any new gameplay. Don't need it for making the game. It's just going to make the game look prettier and feel
Mhm.
better.
Mhm.
And so like they're kind of listed in that priority order where I think the production functionality things are essential. Like, I need to do those. The gameplay things are like, some of them are essential, some of them are kind of more nicer to have. But most of the polish stuff's going to be like, if and when we can get to it, let's do it. But these
Right.
other things are, a priority. So
Right.
like, for example, in production functionality, there's still a bug where the drones shoot each other, right? They
Uh-huh. Yeah.
have friendly fire, so I'm going to work on that. I've got some ideas. I think there might be a way to tell objects when you collide with a particle, if the particle's parent or the like where it originated from is XYZ, take a hit. If it's ABC, ignore it. I think
Sure.
there's a way to do that, but I
Uh-huh.
need to look into it. And then obviously the enemy spawner, we talked about that.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty important, and I should probably also add in here the do, 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 load and unload activator gate to load in and deload or unload uh, assets only as needed for the game when the player gets near or leaves an area. Okay, great. Um, and then gameplay functionality, there are a couple of things in here that I'm looking to add. We had kind of talked a little bit about this one before, Chris, the ally assists, which I think
Mm.
would be really neat if there could be certain moments where there's like a
Yeah.
quick time event that pops up on screen and says like, Bravo team reporting in, we're ready to back you up. If you hit the space bar right at that moment, your
Yeah.
wingman, like in Chris's animatic, will come flying in from the sides and shoot something with you and do a whole bunch of damage, and then
Yeah.
they fly away again. Um, so I think that could be really fun. Um, Also, in a lot of rail shooters, they have these like shootable projectiles. So similar to how when we were flying through the map just now, and there were those obstacles that were in the way, and I had to shoot them to blow them up. It could be
Mhm.
cool if we could do the same thing, but with projectiles that are moving towards you, like missiles or something
Oh,
like that.
sure.
You got to shoot them out of the sky before they
Yeah.
collide with you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Reverse
Oh,
track,
that's a lot of
we
fun.
already talked about that. Being able to go backwards would be really cool.
Yeah.
The timed quick, so whenever I use QTE, it stands for quick time event. Um, and so
Oh,
this time quick time event targets are those like the targeting reticles that kind of like zoom in for a specific
mm.
thing and
Mhm.
they go
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
green to yellow to red.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can do that. I need to play with it a little bit, but I feel confident enough that if I really put my mind to it, I can figure out a way to get that into the game.
Yeah.
Because that I think could be really neat in addition to just shooting, random obstacles and debris in your way, to be able to have like shoot these 4 hinges to blow the door open. That way you could fly
Right.
through the door.
Yep. Yep.
Or, here's a little mini boss for you, but the only way to get them is you gotta shoot these specific weak points only
Yeah.
when they're exposed. So like
Yeah.
I think that could be
I think that's great.
really, yeah, and would
Yeah.
add to that sort of like variety of moments that we were talking about
Right.
earlier, where you've got different. It's not just the same thing for 40 minutes.
Yeah, cause if let's say if there's like 4 points you have to hit in order to get the door open, but if you miss one of them, instead you crash through the door. You can still go through, but you take damage to your plane.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, so this is one that I would like to get feedback from you guys on. I'm putting it as like pulse boost, and the idea is I kind like the way the game feels right now to me, the boost doesn't feel that good. And so I think what I want to try to do is change it from this sort of like uh boost that recharges to instead making it a sort of like a cooldown thing where you press it instead of pressing, because currently it kind of acts like sprint. Like if you're
Uh-huh.
playing a first-person shooter and you hold the shift key, you can run or sprint, and then when you release the shift key, you stop sprinting.
Mhm.
Um, Currently it works like that, but I think it might be better if it was more like like Reinhardt's charge in Overwatch, where like you press the button once, you do a little boost, and then it's on cooldown for a little while.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I might try messing around with that. I mean, it's hard for you guys, obviously, since you haven't played the game to give feedback. But thoughts, Chris,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
from Captain Blue Blue or the chat?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, try it out. I mean, again, I need to see it in order to judge it. So
Sure.
yeah, try it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. If it works, then that's fine. That's great. And Captain Blue Blue says, "Whoa, I would love wingmen like those examples you have in the Blender versions and the spaceship scene." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. That's exactly what Michael wanted to do. And he
Yeah.
also says, I would really want some sort of avatar and voice lines to show up at some points.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally,
That
totally.
I'm going to add that right here because that is
Yeah.
something that Chris and I have talked about too.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like in-game avatars for characters and story stuff. Yeah, that's definitely in the polish category, but that is something that we want to add to make
Right.
uh, the game
Connect. Yeah.
more immersive. And
Hmm.
also, it that adds to the variety too. You could have little moments where it's like, okay, we're gonna go have a nice little quiet 15 seconds here where you're not shooting anything.
Right.
One of your allies is gonna come on screen and say, give you a little heads up about like, oh no, you're walking into an ambush or something, or
Yeah.
maybe even have the enemies, maybe the mini boss gets on there. It's like, you better turn around. If you don't, we're gonna.
Right.
So yeah, having that sort of stuff is definitely on our radar. We want to have that in there, so I'm gonna add
Hmm.
it to the
Hmm.
list. It just might be a late add.
Yeah. Right now, I think the most important thing is to get all the assets in the game to make it fun, and the avatar that all that good stuff is like sprinkles and toppings that makes it even better. Captain Boo Boo says, boost might last longer than I wanted it. Oh, hold on, sorry. He says, I think it sounds good. He's talking about the boost. Just that it won't destroy for the player in obstacle courses. Boost might last longer than I wanted it. Um, but again, perhaps that's a game challenge in itself.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Um. So tell you what. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tr- no guarantees that I'll have that done by
Yeah,
next time,
yeah,
but
yeah,
at
yeah,
some
yeah.
point in the future, I'm gonna try
Hmm.
the new version, the Pulse Boost, and we'll give it a look see, and I'll give you my thoughts on like how it feels and how it integrates with the game.
Yeah.
And if that works, great, we'll go with that. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep trying stuff.
Mm, sounds good.
Um, okay, cool. So I
Awesome
think that's
stuff, Michael. Really, really great work this week, dude. And I
thank
have to
you.
say, thank God you're doing all this. Oh man, if it was up to me, I would be like, oh God, kill me now. But you seem to be very natural at this stuff, man. So thank God. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm getting there because yeah, like looking at all this stuff, I'm sure is like, geez,
Ugh.
what is this? But for me,
Ugh.
yeah, i- it's fun because like I like problem solving and puzzles. Like Zelda is one of my absolute favorite game series, and I think part of the reason for it is because of the puzzle solving, like getting
Mhm.
dropped into
Mhm.
a dungeon or a temple and being like, I'm inside a like giant building-sized puzzle box, and I want to get into that door that's locked over there, but I don't know how. And these are the thing. This is the equipment that I have at my disposal. How do I get in there?
Right.
And for me, that's what this is like. This is
Yeah.
like a much more difficult, much less sexy version, but it's still the same idea where it's like
Right.
there's a problem. How
Yep.
do I get the ship to jump from one rail to the other using
Yeah.
just, the knowledge that I have? And
Yeah.
man, it's so satisfying. It's like solving a Sudoku puzzle, like when
Sure.
you
Sure.
finally
Sure.
get it,
Sure.
you're like, sweet relief.
Yeah.
Like
That's
yeah.
that. Yeah. Thank goodness for you, man. Blue Blue says a middle. Hold on. Blah blah blah. Blue says a middle ground would be I can boost as long as I want, but when I let go, it drains the whole tank, even if I only use 10%.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be some kind of trade-off with the boost too. I think maybe like
Mm.
also you can't fire when you're boosting. Um, there's also the possibility of integrating the boost with the shield system. So like your ship has enough energy to fire the guns or to have shields or to boost. But whenever you draw on any one of them, the other ones are weakened. So like maybe right after you come out of a boost, your shields are a little bit weaker, so then you take more damage or your guns overheat or something. I don't really know. But yeah, there's a whole lot that we could do. Um, so yeah, let's definitely keep thinking about it and let's keep sharing ideas with each other. And as I show iterations, like we can keep spitting on it and polishing it together. So good suggestions. Thank you, Captain Blue Blue. As
Yeah. Thank
usual.
you, Lulu. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So that's it for scene 4. I also did some things with importing scene 3, not nearly as much.
Uh huh.
But I do I need to save any of this stuff? I don't think so. Um, I did
Oh
get,
God.
oh geez, yeah, this
Oh
thing is
God.
gigantic, but I got it imported. I also
Nice.
got the rail. Let's see here. Can I oh here. This is wait, where's the rail component? Um, hmm, am I
I see it. I,
yeah, I could see it too, but it's not that's weird. Oh,
yeah, I see it
maybe
right
it's
there.
yeah, it's right here. Oh,
That's right
there we
there.
go.
Yep.
Oh, this is
Wait, that's your
yeah, that's the
rail.
Cinemachine rail.
Yeah.
Where is the is it this? And it's just oh yep, there it is. Okay, great.
Oh.
Yep,
Oh.
got it. Okay. So yeah, this imported easy peasy Chris, no problem,
Mhm.
piece of cake.
Nice.
The one thing that did kind of go awry, but then it fixed itself, was there was a material missing, so there was like
Uh
two
huh.
different versions.
Uh huh.
Was it under here? The scene 3 assets? Yeah. So in here there's like this one and this one. These like two different
Oh,
uh
well, I think one is FBX and one is prefab.
like these are both prefabs, but one is like a variant of the other one. I think the difference is that one of them had the what was that called? The tessellate, the DX11
Oh,
tessellation thing, whatever.
yeah, right. I was
Oh,
trying
and
that out.
actually, if you look, I mean, I don't know how to make
Mhm.
this any bigger, but if you look at this
Sure.
little like avatar right here, when I click on
Yeah.
this one, see how it turns pink?
Yeah, and that one doesn't
That's the
have
color
any
that Unity signifies when it's like, material is missing, or
missing.
shader, like something's missing here. Um, it was doing that in the like big preview down here,
Uh-huh.
and it was like that until I imported the tessellation thing that you sent, and then once I
Oh, and
did
then it
that, then it
worked.
was like, oh, now
Got
it's
it.
fine.
Got it.
Um, so this thing I really haven't gotten very far, but what I basically did was, I had your mesh path here, and then
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
started building a rail on top of it, kind of
Oh,
following
man.
its exact path. Yeah, I don't know any other way to like
Oh.
just auto map a thing,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
going through and doing it one at
Oh,
a time,
God bless you,
which,
man. Oh.
it wasn't really like, well, I mean, you had to do that when you made the rail to begin with, right? Like hit each one of those
Well,
things.
well, I was hoping that I could just do it so you wouldn't have to.
Hmm. Yeah, well, if I was smarter, if I knew more about this, then probably, but
Oh,
currently
man.
I,
All right.
I, I don't know of another way. But it's not really that
Well,
big of a deal. I mean, it's so
it
mindless. I just put a podcast on in the background, like do
is
do do
it,
do 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 do.
was there a way you could just at least just snap onto a vertices on the mesh? so that you don't have to eyeball it. Oh no. Oh man.
No, with what I've learned from experimenting with the rails in scene 4, I might
Uh-huh.
be able to think of some other clever way to do this more efficiently, but currently I don't think so, because these things
Uh-uh.
are like, all of the waypoints do not behave like regular Unity objects. They're all under the umbrella of the Cinemachine functionality, which is
Sure.
awesome for what they are and what they're normally used for. I think they're
Yeah.
perfect. At this point, I'm starting to like push that functionality like
Ooh,
well
nice.
beyond
Yeah.
what it was intended to do.
Nice.
Um, Namely, which one thing that has appeared in here. Oh, and one of the things to show too is like you weren't kidding about how big this thing is. Like
It's huge.
that's how big the ship is compared to this.
Yeah.
Like it is a tiny little dot down there.
Exactly. So I'm curious, using Unity's camera as well as the way you set up the camera. I'm so curious as to how it feels and looks when we're actually going through this. I don't know
Sure.
if you programmed it yet, but
A, l-
you
a little bit. I can
okay.
share with you that, and there's some issues and some learnings. One of the
Uh-huh.
things that I learned, you remember how we had that problem with like really big things were like not getting drawn in if they were far enough away,
Yeah.
Unity just wouldn't
Yeah.
load it. I
Right.
found out that has to do with the where is it?
Oh, sorry,
The
sorry.
camera.
Horizon, hey, so good
Hey,
to see you.
Horizon,
Long time no
welcome.
see. Well, we've been well. We're still continue working on our game. We got scene 4 and 3 kind of done, or not done, but it's work in progress
Big
right now.
progress.
We're actually seeing stuff happening. So yeah, welcome, man. It's good to see you, dude.
Yeah, welcome in. Okay, so the camera thing. This right here, the ship camera, is basically our main camera that
Uh-huh.
is attached to the player rig, which is basically just the object that contains all of the stuff that we want to move with the player.
Right.
Uh, and the what you're seeing on screen, these sort of like white lines
Mm-hmm.
that represent this bounding box, is
Yeah.
representing the frustrum. Did I say
The
that right?
the the what?
I think, is it frustrum? It's basically it's
Frustrum.
if you were to take a pyramid shape, right?
Right.
Like
Uh-huh.
a pyramid, and you lop off the top of it, and so you've
Uh-huh.
got like a square up there, and then it kind of
Sure.
breaks up. That
Yeah.
shape is called a frustrum or a fustrum. I can't
Oh,
remember
interesting.
exactly what.
Interesting.
Um, and you can basically imagine that latched onto a camera. So it's
Right.
showing you like what the camera's looking at.
Oh, okay.
So that's what that shape is. It's showing you here's where the camera is looking. And this element right here, this
What are you
variable,
going?
this far, determines how far into Unity space that frustrum goes. So
Uh-huh.
originally, I think it's set to like 1,000 or something, and you can see like
Uh,
how tiny it is. So
yeah,
anything
yeah.
that's beyond that,
Right.
it's
It
not going to draw in. And you can actually
right.
see in the
Ship camera.
yeah, in the ship camera down there. I don't know, is that showing up on the screen? Oh yeah, that's on screen just
Yep,
fine.
that's good. Yep.
In the ship camera, you can see now part of the planet is not drawn in, and then if
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
add another 0 here, oh, it
Yep.
draws the rest of it in because
Yeah.
now the frustrum is big enough. So that was a big discovery
Nice.
because when I first loaded this in, I hit play, it was like the ship was just in nothing. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the hell's the planet? And that was why.
Yeah.
So
Okay, cool.
yeah, so that problem or that obstacle solved,
Good.
uh, or
Nice. Good
mystery
job.
solved. Yep. So that's that one. The other thing that I had to do was I had to turn the speed of the ship way
A
up.
thousand. Holy cow. Nice.
Yeah. So for reference, in scene 1, it's a
Yeah.
base speed of 20. In
Uh-huh.
scene 4 that we just looked at, it was a base speed of about 50.
Uh-huh.
It has to be 1,000 in here just for it to feel like you're moving at all.
Holy cow.
So this is a
Oh,
thousand.
cool. Wow.
And it's actually so fast, you can't see this, but I'm shooting and I'm flying faster than the
Oh, geez.
my bullets. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uh, So one thing that you're going to notice is like right here at the end of the rail, I'm not going to touch the controls at all. Watch
Uh-huh.
what the ship does. The ship does this really weird little like wanky whoop. It's kind of like does this like weird flip thing, right?
Yeah, well, what is that?
So this is one of the reasons why I went and said, damn it, I need to figure out how to do this rail change thing because this just
Uh,
isn't going to work. Because when I started putting in this rail, the practice, no, that's a different rail, but that's actually going to help explain this point. Um, where the hell is my rail? I need to organize it. Oh, the OG rail. Here you go. Basically, what happened is when I went down here, this is where the rail is going to start to like invert, right? So
uh-huh.
up to this point, it was total. The rail's pretty much totally fine. If I zoom like way, let me get nice and close here. If I won't zoom way in here and kind of move the camera, you can see like, oh yeah, it looks like a roller coaster. It's it's fine. But then when I come down this way, it starts to do these like weird
Oh,
twisty
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Even and I can actually adjust the roll by coming over here, and I can change these roll
The
numbers.
roll.
Oh, whoops. So if I switch this bottom one, I was trying to like actually counter correct some things, but so the
Mm-hmm.
roll is at 0 for all of these, and you'll notice it's doing this weird twist. And I think what it's trying to do is it's trying to keep the camera orientation upright because the Cinemachine rail system, the way it smooths the path, probably isn't expecting you to like do these crazy roller coaster
Ah,
inversions and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And it's basing the new nodes on the previous nodes.
Uh-huh.
So it like the way it's through like some experimentation that I've done, the way it's calculating how to smooth the rail is it's going pretty far back in the number of nodes to like try to figure out what the curves should do, which is
Right.
great because then I don't have to do it. We don't get these like sharp, janky turns.
Right.
We get these nice, smooth flowing rails.
Right.
But apparently here is one of those limitations, or
Right.
it comes at a cost, and here's that cost. Where now it's
Mm-hmm.
starting to do
Mm-hmm.
this like weird stuff down here, and so I was like, well, shit, maybe the Cinemachine rail can't actually do that. Um, and if it can't, we're gonna have to rethink this whole thing. Like how
Mm-hmm.
because if I can't turn it upside down, then damn, we're gonna have to do this totally different. But I was like, well, let's do a little experiment. So then I created this practice rail down here. And what I did with this is I just said like, okay, let me just make a tiny little thing that immediately does an inversion and then comes back around. And does that work? And it seemed just fine. Like it's not doing anything wonky with the shape here. And if I
Right.
hit play, because I put this little cube on here and then gave him, put him in a cart on the rail and then gave the rail some motion, and he's doing just fine. So
Yeah.
like if I put a camera on there, like it would be okay. So like, whew, crisis averted. I think it's totally possible to get the rail to invert and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we probably need to break it up into pieces so we're not asking the rail, like one single rail, to do too much.
Right.
Because then when I run into like a weird thing like that, uh, we can hopefully solve those issues. Because trying to like you would think it'd be pretty easy. Like, okay, it's doing some like weird, wacky roll thing. Let me just correct for the roll here. Because if I go here and just like manually adjust this, you can kind of start to get rid of it, but it's still like it. You're like correcting for something that it really wants to do. So
Right.
even if I make these adjustments, you're still getting
Whoa.
this like yeah, weird little thing
Yeah.
right there where it's like
Uh-huh.
I really want to flip this way. So I was like, okay, maybe I just leave it alone and when that happens, I'll clip the rail, create a new rail, and then just use a rail gate to switch from one rail to the other. So I haven't tried that yet, but that's my plan, and that was like right after you sent me this asset, I imported it. This happened, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend a little while trying to get this rail gate thing to work. So, and I haven't been back since, but
Right. 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 Right.
that's the plan.
Right. Um, and how I know when I was in Unity, like moving around with this such huge of a beast of a asteroid planet, it was hard for me to, see stuff. Um,
Yep.
are you having as much difficulty as I am?
Yes.
All right.
It's fine when everything's right side up and like doing stuff appears okay,
Yeah,
but as soon as
yeah,
I
but
started to
upside
try
down.
to get,
Yep.
yeah, down here,
Yeah,
that's
it
when,
gets weird.
yeah, this the software is like not what normally is great because then you don't end up in these like weird wacky positions because it's like
Mhm.
biased towards trying to be upright, trying to
Right.
constantly keep
Yep.
the camera oriented towards the Y vertex or the Z vertex
Yeah.
or axis in
Mhm.
Blender.
Mhm.
But makes it a big problem in
Yeah.
something like this where I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm trying to rotate underneath this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to keep going with it as is, but if it becomes too problematic, we might need to look into cheating this and just do like a half sphere that
Yeah.
that the player feels like is a full sphere.
Right. Or I was thinking like maybe we could make the whole thing smaller, make the whole
Hmm,
planet smaller. I don't know. I'm just thinking this off the top of my head, because this thing
sure.
is huge. It's like so
Yeah,
big,
it really
and
is.
and Captain Blue Blue, please let me know um if what I'm about to say is valid or not. But just seeing such a huge geometry, I don't know if it's going to kill the system or not. I mean, this right now, what we have is using 1,000-ish verts or faces. Um, but I mean, still, if we, even if we made it smaller in scale, I don't think that would make
Oh,
it any better. But I mean, if we made it smaller, it would be easier for us to at least, I don't know. Uh, oh, nice.
yeah. I wonder about those too. I mean, currently the
Yeah,
performance seems just fine. Like,
it's
and
okay.
my computer's not even really complaining. Like the fan's not even really blowing that hard,
Oh, good,
which
good, good, good.
it does when I'm like playing Overwatch or something. Like it really
Sure.
complains. But when running this, it seems okay. Um, so yeah, this again, I feel like scene 3 here is the real wild card in the bunch, the one that
Mhm.
I don't know if it's gonna work, and it's probably gonna be the most pain in the ass to make, but boy howdy, if we can get it working, it's going to be really awesome.
Yeah. Well, cool.
So
Wow, you
yeah,
did a lot. I mean, I just gave this to you like a few days ago, and you're already like moving very quickly on this. Thank you for that. Um,
sure.
and I'm noticing some texture issues. This
Oh
is
really?
the
Okay.
first pass. It's my fault. I didn't cut up the UVs correctly, so that's why I myself I'm noticing like weird connections, weird breaks in some areas. Um,
Okay.
After you are all done, yeah, after you you are good with the path and everything, after you added some spots, maybe you did something different in the surface, um, I will take all the alterations, and then I will take the planet and give it a better typography. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, and then it'll be much nicer looking. Because right now I just want to give you something so that you can work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for what I need right now. It's perfect. It's absolutely
Okay,
perfect.
good, 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 good.
And even having like any texture at all like this is
Yeah,
like that's a bonus for me. Like
nice.
I wasn't expecting to be able to have like, ooh, cool. It actually kind of feels like a bit of rock. And when I like put it in an environment, like put a skybox on there, like, ooh, it's starting to feel a little bit
Ooh,
more like
that's
a,
kind of cool. Do
yeah,
you
it's
mind
like,
playing really quick?
sure.
I'm curious what it looks like.
Oh, hang on. Let me turn the rail
Oh
off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're getting
Uh,
the tube slide effect. Oh,
yeah.
Captain Blue says a mobile might
Water
complain
slide
a
in
bit
space.
more.
Wait, what does Captain Booba say?
Oh, this is actually looking pretty good.
Yeah,
The
I think it looks
texture.
cool.
Oh, that's actually not bad. And we could put a little bit of tint on there as well. He says, remember how we said the intensity of the big scale issue? It has no issues for your PC, but he says that a mobile might complain a bit more though, which,
Mm, good
yeah,
point.
yeah, that's a really good point. But for now, it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so too.
do you mind really quickly changing the tint of the asteroid really quick? Maybe make it like a little bit of a blue or nice purple or something.
The
Though
asteroid itself.
Yeah, the asteroid itself. Go to the materials. Look at me
I guess.
telling you what to do in Unity.
Yeah, please, because I don't know how to do this.
Hold
The
on, hold on.
material?
Shit. I am. Oh, no. You go to the materials. That the asteroid is using.
Oh,
Um,
like here in the
no, it's in the assets folder. Uh,
where are we seeing 3 assets? Okay.
assets. Yeah, the new material. Is it new material? Click on that. Yeah, there you
Was
go.
that the name?
And
Okay.
then, yep. And then, right next to albedo. Yep, that white part. Yep. Click on the eyedropper tool.
Uh-huh.
Do you see that?
What do you want?
It's
Yep,
okay.
I
And
clicked
then,
it.
oh, nice. And then click on one of the colors. I'm just curious. Yeah,
How
anywhere.
about this blue?
Just any.
Ooh,
Oh,
what about a purple?
yeah.
Oh wow, that's a
Make
real dark.
that's
What about a
maybe a
pink?
little bit too dark. Yeah.
That's cool.
Try it. Just
I think I
something.
like that blue.
Something.
Let's try that. It's like lit up by this like blue nebula. Cool.
Yeah, it has. It's not gray, but it's actually some type of color. We could
Oh
try other
yeah,
stuff too. You know what I mean?
sure.
So this is a really good tool.
We could also probably do some cool stuff with lighting too. So you could have like lights along the terrain.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing that we mentioned but kind of like glossed over is the speed.
Oh, right.
Traveling this fast breaks a lot of things. Not the
Mhm.
least of
Mhm.
which is like the particle effects and the special effects, some of which are important or essential to the game functioning. Because if I shoot and I'm flying so fast, I'm shooting right now, but I'm flying so fast that the bullets are actually like I'm flying in front of them
Flying.
as they're leaving
Yeah.
my gun. Uh, that's a problem. I mean, I can increase the speed of those, but I think there is an upper limit, and I don't know, I need to play with that a little bit, but that is potentially a big fly in the
Right.
ointment that we might need to at 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 that point. Like if I can't get us past that, that's when we might need to start talking about actually maybe we make this thing a lot smaller, or maybe
Right.
we do like
Oh,
break it up into 3 pieces and there's like
uh-huh.
3 asteroids that are connected by bridges or something that you're flying
Yeah.
in between. That way we still have this feeling of like getting in real close to like a nice big asteroid,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but in a way that we can actually figure out how to do. So
Actually, mm, yeah, cause firing is a huge thing. Uh, and if firing
that's
has
what
an
we're
issue,
getting. Yeah,
you
that could be
know,
a real problem.
cause so Michael, like to solve this issue, like if I told you let's make the planet smaller, then therefore we would not have to go as quickly and speed up as fast, right?
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Anything that would allow this ship to travel at a slower speed would make that problem less severe. And eventually, if we could slow it down enough, it would go away.
what if you already said this, smaller asteroids instead of one big asteroid, it's a few asteroids. It's kind of like what we had before. Remember, like a long time
Yeah.
ago, I
Hmm.
said, "Oh, fly from one asteroid to another." Um, maybe that's the thing that I need to explore, because I really don't like the fact that the firing doesn't work. Because you're going so fast
Yeah. In order to just feel like you're, because if I
moving.
like here, I'm gonna stop that, and then I'll
Oh yeah, I know.
just
When I'm trying to use my WASD keys in Unity, I'm like, am I even moving? I was like, oh yes, I am moving, but at a super super slow speed.
so
Yeah,
here's 100,
yeah.
which is twice as fast
Hmm.
as the tunnel section, and here's with a boost, which is 250, and we're still like
Not enough
in the upper
boost.
atmosphere here, and like not even close to getting
Yeah, I
down
know.
this thing. Um, and
But
actually,
but at least the shooting works, right? If you're going at 100 or 50.
uh, oh, yeah, it should.
Yeah,
Let
it
me
should,
turn this
right?
back on, and yep, shooting works no problem. Well, it's
Okay, so
still
it's
it's the shooting actually is a little buggy. You can see on
yeah,
the underside of the ship, it's like not. I mean, it's still traveling faster than the ship, but
right,
not as fast as it needs to be. So yeah, I
right.
guess. But I mean, and I mean, you can see here like we are just barely cruising along. This does
Slowly.
not feel good at all. Um,
Yeah.
so we might need to do some things to cheat that. But I, I, before we push the big red button, let me play with the laser system a little bit. Uh, I'm hesitant to modify too many of these things because sometimes it like the, as you can see here, the particle system has a lot of functionality in it. Like each one of these tabs is like does a
Uh-huh.
whole totally
Yeah.
different thing.
Right.
Um, and they can really modify the way that the thing behaves quite a bit. But this part right
Right.
here, like the start speed, I can just make this higher. Like if I make that like 5,000, um, and we go back to player, yeah, we'll leave it there. The player ship speed. What did I have it at before? 1,000?
1,000, yeah.
Yeah, this is probably gonna work. I mean, this might, not
Oh,
quite.
ooh, ooh.
Oh, well, I only
Whoa,
did it
whoa,
for the
whoa.
one. Only the left side. I didn't do the other
Yeah.
side. Okay, maybe that's not quite fast. But anyway, the point is, I'm gonna have to play around with it a bit to get it back
Yeah.
to what we already know and like in the other speeds. So,
I I would say if you have to push the red big button to explode this planet, like literal sense will explode it. All right.
uh-huh.
I think that's absolutely okay. Just let me know, and the sooner the better, so that I can give you something new. Uh, right? Because yeah, I for me, I think firing and keeping things look and feel consistent throughout the game is very important. I don't want it to be like, oh, what the world? All of a sudden, this laser is like faster or slower, or it's shooting like in a very awkward way, right? Um,
Yeah.
I would rather change the environment than changing the gameplay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because again, the environment is just a supporting character. As sad as I am sad to say, because
Yeah,
based on the
I know.
comments, yeah, you know. But that's the reality of it. So let's go ahead and make the asteroid smaller, and I will do it once you say, Chris, do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just do the due diligence of making sure that there's not some like simple thing that I need to change that's like, oh, it was easy. Like I fixed it. If I don't have that solution, then yeah, let's go ahead and
Hmm.
talk again. And I'll say, all right, Chris, I can't solve this for the betterment of the rest of the game. Let's blow the
Right.
planet up into three
Right.
smaller pieces or something.
And now that I'm thinking about it, based on what we talked about in the pre-show,
Mm-hmm.
um, remember how you were talking about, oh, what if there's a highway that connects,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what if there was a highway system
Oh,
between the
yeah.
asteroids? You know what I mean?
Oh, that would be so cool. There's like parts where it like bridges between the
Yeah.
asteroids and goes like
Yeah.
you're just out in space. Oh,
Right.
I like that so much that I almost don't want to even try to get this to work. Like that would be so super. Well, I still need to do the homework anyway because even when we do that,
Yeah.
in order to get this sort of scale of like being in a big outdoor environment that we're looking for, I think I'm still going to need to do some work on that. But man, yeah, that would be really rad. Like that, I can already see in my head like how cool that would be visually and how
Yeah.
fun of a like moment in
Mhm.
gameplay
Mhm.
that could be too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, good idea.
Yeah, just take like maybe 10 minutes to see if you could solve it. And if you can't solve it within like 10 minutes, then let's
We'll just move
explode
on.
the we'll just move on and explode the planet. Oh, shoot, shoot. Captain Blue Blue says projectile speeds should be base speed plus player speed. Don't know if that's possible, but that's how it should
Ooh.
work. Because imagine a gun, it is actually adding the
Mm.
bullet's speed to
Hmm.
the Earth's speed that is rotating. Wow, that's really technical, specific. Thank you, Captain
Yeah.
Boo Boo.
Yep, that's a good point. There may be a way to do that. I know there's some tricky things with particle stuff in Unity. because you can tell, like, if I go back into, was this the one that yeah. So what was it before? 500. So I'm going to switch that back to 500. Actually, can I just do this? Can I just revert? Yeah, there you go. Currently, the simulation space is set to world, which is great because when we shoot the projectiles, we want them to travel in world space. But if I
Mhm,
change this
mhm.
to local, now it's going to be relative to and I'll do both of these, that way it doesn't look super weird. Now if I go back in here and I shoot my gun, it see how it's tracking with
Yeah.
the ship?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it is fixed in terms of, like, now it's kind of doing what Captain Blue Blue was saying, where it's
Mhm.
basically it's adding the speed of the projectile to the speed of the ship.
Right.
But the way Unity, at least, and I might be uh, a novice and not know that, oh, you need to check this other flag and then it'll do what you want it to do. Um, but in order to, like, have it simulate that way, it also keeps it in the same space as the plane. So,
Right.
that we don't want that. We don't want it to do this.
Yeah.
So, but there may be something there. So good looking out, Captain Blue Blue. I'll look
Yeah,
into it a little
thank
bit
you,
more
man.
and see if maybe that's if something in there is what we need to adjust to
Right.
get this thing to work. But could be a tricky problem to solve. So fair
Yeah,
warning.
yeah. Oh, June is here. Hey, June.
June,
Wow.
hello.
So good to see you. Hello, hello.
Yeah, welcome
June,
in.
I don't know if I introduced you to my friend Michael. This is my buddy Michael that I've worked with at both Disney and Universal Studio Creative. We worked together for a very, very long time, and this is the video game that we're trying to create right now. We're uh we're trying to figure out some technical issues and try to find a way to solve it. But yeah, it's so good to see you in here. And
Yeah,
yeah.
welcome in.
So yeah, this is a scene 4 right now. I created kind of this corridor look and feel, and Michael put it together in Unity. And Captain Blue Blue here, he's also, helping us out, giving us really amazing advice to get us on a good path, right? Um,
Yeah.
oh, June says you guys are so clear. Yeah, I saw your YouTube. Yeah, cool. Oh, by the way, we gave you a shout out
Thanks.
last week. Thank you so much for posting your amazing
Yeah.
artwork on there.
Your artwork is so good. We love it.
Yeah. Um, Captain Blue says, and to answer the question earlier, but I think you missed it. Probably won't kill the system for a console or PC. I don't know if you wanted a mobile port. For reference, a character mesh for one character in game are usually in the range between 1 to 4,000. Wow. Holy cow.
Um, Sorry, I'm a little bit of a
Yeah,
noob in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of model. Like, is that a lot? Is that a little?
It yeah, it seems like it's like 1 to 4. For reference, the character mesh for one character in game are usually in the range between 1 to 4,000. So I'm guessing that's like the verts, right? Yeah,
Mm,
that's a lot. Yeah, but Michael and I have been talking behind the scenes in that for our mobile game we might do something a little bit different. So this what we're doing right now is actually it's if it is okay for the PC, I think we will be good. Um, yeah.
yeah, and I
And
mean,
oh,
oh,
go ahead,
sorry, go ahead.
Michael. Go. No, no, you go.
Just real quick, all I was gonna say is that the original goal for this project was a PC release.
Hmm.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
that's still the focus, but there
Right.
may be
We're still
additional
okay.
ports later.
Yeah. Yep. 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 And June says, "What the f? You guys made? You made that? Yeah. It was a collaboration between myself and Michael. And
Yeah.
I designed all the stuff in 3D, and then Michael is taking all the 3D assets and programming it in Unity. Yeah. And also, Captain Boo says, so it's for triangles. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I think this will run on a potato PC, I think. Nice. Uh, June says, me and Rapid want to make a game. Oh, cool.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Maybe I should tell her to come to the stream. Uh, Yeah, she is always. You guys are always welcome to come to the stream. We stream from
Absolutely.
at 7 p.m. PST. So like 2 hours ago. We started streaming 2 hours ago. And yeah, we basically do an update every Wednesday and Sunday. And if again if you miss any of the videos, Michael and I post all the videos on YouTube. So if you miss any, you can always catch up with us there. What is this channel? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me go ahead and put it in the chat right now. I'm gonna put social. Hopefully that's there you go. Follow that and you will see all the necessary information. But that's so cool. You and Rapid are gonna want to make a video game. That is cool.
Yeah, that's rad.
Hopefully, Michael and I can give you some pointers as well as Captain Blue Blue, because Captain Blue Blue, out of all of us, he has the most 3D experience and game experience as well. So yeah, thank you so much, June, for being here. This is so awesome. Very, very, very cool. Sorry, Michael, you were saying.
No, no, no. That's all
Yeah,
good. Nope,
yeah.
I don't think I was saying anything.
Oh,
But
cool.
yeah, that's really exciting, June. Glad to have you here, and really excited for your video game. Like, can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet. Well, Michael, it's 9 o'clock now, so
Yep,
I don't know if you are almost wrapped up, but I know we've been going for quite some time right now, and
we have been going for a while.
amazing job today, dude. You showed us
Thanks.
so many things. Holy cow. Um, great
Yeah.
job, dude.
So yeah, like I said, I had a lot to share with you, but still didn't like. There's really not that much to see in scene 4 compared to like
Yeah.
what I was like. I need to have this done by this date, and it didn't quite get there. But
Right,
still,
right.
had an awful lot to share with you guys. So hopefully it was
Holy
fun
cow.
and interesting. Um, I did promise that we would do trivia. So if you would
Yeah,
like to do that, we can still do that. But I
we
think
could
I
do
need
that.
a quick restroom break
Okay.
before
All
we
right.
get started.
I will be here to chat with you guys while Michael does his thing.
Excellent.
Captain Blue says
I'll
Michael
be
is
right
just
back.
enjoying the game, and that is the
I
best
know, yeah,
sign
you
of
got
them
me.
all.
I was just playing it. I was like, oh man, it's so fun to shoot these things as they're flying past me. You
Stop
got me.
playing the game.
I
Answer our
know. Get back
question.
to work. All right, I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, no, thank you so much, June, for being here, man. It's so good to share the progress that Michael and I have been working on. Aside from doing my Kickstarter stuff, aside from doing my the pin designs as well, I've always tried to do other stuff. And because Michael right now he's not 100% employed, I'm not 100% employed. Like going from a 9 to 5 job, we have like we could work whenever we want to. Unfortunately, when that happens, we end up working a lot more because with my kind of personality, I feel like crap when I'm not producing stuff. So that's why I'm like, Michael's not doing anything. I'm not really doing anything. Like, 9 to 5 job, right? We should do something together. And then it essentially took a full half year for us to actually find out what we can do together as as a team, and we come to realize that Michael is an amazing designer slash programmer, and I like to create art and draw and try to do stuff in 3D. And then so we finally like came together and be like, oh wait, this is awesome, I can create the 3D assets and then you can take them and program it in Unity. And so that's where we are right now. So yeah. And June says, "Oh, Chris, your glasses look different." Yes, these are my I'm realizing as I get older, like when I'm looking at the computer monitor, at the end of the night, my eyes starts like to get really sleepy and tired. And then so instead of these blue light blocking glasses, I got these ones. These are like a lot more um yellow. They have a really crazy yellow tint, so they block out a lot more of the blue light. Yeah. So okay, Michael. We are ready for the trivia.
Excellent.
All
Okay,
right,
let
are
me
you
make
guys
sure
ready?
this is gonna work. So, okay. You can see my Unity screen now, yeah?
Yes, I can see your Unity screen, and I will hide myself. There you go.
So, quick
Yeah,
intro.
yeah.
This is a game that I made while following the GameDev.tv 2D course. One of the projects in there, you make a quiz game. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that and kind of reimagine it for the Creative Tavern, and this will be
Nice.
kind of like a thing that we do pretty regularly, where we'll do 5 trivia questions. They're multiple choice, so you're going to see a question on the screen. You're going to have 4 different options. We're going to have, I think I've set the timer to 2.5 minutes to answer the
Mhm, mhm,
question, and then I think we'll
mhm.
have about 20 seconds to review them. Last week we did video games. This week we're doing movies.
Nice.
Um, Please forgive me in advance. This is trivia that's like mostly relevant to me, but I tried to pick a couple things that I knew either like Chris would know because Chris is familiar with this property, or
Mm.
I know a couple of the of Todoroki Sephiroth's film directors, so I've tried to pick some that he might know who this one is, and then some like more recent things. But I'm kind of I'm a child of the '90s, so there's a lot of '90s stuff in here.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
hope you like '90s movies.
two things. One, Totoro's here. Yeah, hey Totoro, how are you?
Yeah,
And and
welcome. I'm
and
so glad you're
second,
here. There's
second,
at least one
Michael,
question in here that's like just for you.
nice. Can you show yourself? Because right now you're not on
Oh,
screen right
yes.
now. Yeah, go ahead and
Sure.
and
Here, let
turn on your
me
camera.
do this. I need to like make some adjustments here. I'm gonna make myself a little bit small. That way I don't block anything.
Nice.
All right. Are we ready to play, everybody?
Let's go!
Here we go. All
And
right.
everyone, make sure you type in the answers in the chat box.
Question number 1. In the 1998 X-Files film, Mulder relieves himself on a movie poster in a back alley. What movie does he pee on? Is it A, Men in Black, B, Alien 3, C, Spaced Invaders, or D, Independence Day? I need to add
Uh,
some like music
I
to this too, some dramatic like
I don't think it's Men in Black, and I don't think it's Independence Day. I think it's Alien 3 or Space Invaders.
All
Um,
right.
what do you guys think, chat?
Yep. What
Uh,
what what
Cap
are your thoughts, chat?
Captain Blue Blue says Independence Day.
Okay.
Uh, okay. Cap says Independence Day. All right. Um, I'm gonna say Todo says Space Invaders. Uh, Captain Blue says, I think Alien 3 is too early. I want to say Space Invaders Suits. One, because I don't know it, and I don't know that movie. And Aliens 3, Men in Black, and also Independence Day, it just seems a little bit too relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Space Invaders. And Totoro went with Space Invaders. Captain Blue Blue says Independence Day.
All right, so we have 2 for Space Invaders, 1 for Independence Day. I guess we'll go with Space Invaders.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Drum roll. And Captain
Oh!
Blue Blue was on it. It
Captain Blue
was
Blue!
Independence Day.
It was Independence Day?
Yeah, there's a scene where Mulder's
What?
like he steps out of a bar to like take a leak, and he's pissing on this poster with a smile on his face, and it's Independence Day.
Oh, what? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Captain Blue says I'm an X-Files fan. Oh shit, that I had no idea.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's
I'm
cheating.
an
That's
X-Files
cheating.
fan too. Well, hey, that question was for Captain Blue Blue then,
That was for him. Nice.
and he
All right.
nailed it. All right,
Good
next one.
job.
In the 1993 classic Super Mario Bros., starring Bob Hoskins,
Oh,
what were
jeez.
the names of the 2 Koopa cousins? Was it A,
Oh God.
Iggy and Spike, B, Larry and Lemmy, C, Roy and Butch, or D, Morton and Ludwig, or Ludwig?
Oh God, I don't know this, man.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I'm sorry. I
What?
couldn't resist though. It's like, oh, fusion, video games and movies.
You know, as bad as that movie is, it holds a special place in my heart. I watched
Yeah,
this
me
movie when
too.
I was really, really young, and I thought it was really cool because I didn't know what was good, what was bad. So when I watched it, I was like, holy cow, they go on an adventure together with dinosaurs. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Totoro says A. All right. I don't know. Uh,
No idea.
oh
Not gonna
God,
put you either.
Royal or Butch, Morton and Ludwig, Larry and Lemmy, Iggy and Spike. I'm gonna go with Roy and Butch because that sounds like legit. I don't know. Blue says I heard of Ludwig, but the movie didn't follow the games, so I'm inclined to say A too. So we have uh Totoro and Captain Blue says A, and I say Roy and Butch. Final answer.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna pick A since we got 2 votes for that one.
All right.
Ding ding ding! You got it.
Oh,
Good
good job, you
job.
guys. Oh
That's amazing.
man,
And I tried
Iggy and
so hard to trick
Spike.
you guys too, because a lot of the other names in there are the Koopalings, which are actual Nintendo characters.
Oh, right,
And one of them
right.
is actually even named Iggy. So I was like, I bet I might be able to get him. But wow, you
Oh,
guys are too
wow.
good. I'm
Nice.
impressed.
Good job. Good job, you two. Damn it.
All right, here's a recent one. So if anybody's seen this movie recently, which European city is not part of the class tour in Spider-Man: No Way Home?
Oh God.
Actually, no, it's Spider-Man: Far From Home. I'm sorry, that's a
Far from
typo.
home. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because that's the second one. Homecoming is the first one. Far From Home is the second one, and No Way Home is the other one. So, whoops.
So,
Anyway, so A,
uh-huh.
Prague, Czech Republic, B, Venice, Italy, C, Berlin, Germany, or D, Paris, France. One of these is not part of the class tour. Which one is it?
I'm gonna
Do,
go with
do, 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 do,
I
do,
don't remember.
do, do,
Oh,
do, do.
I'm gonna say
So
Prague.
you have seen this, right?
I've seen this, but I've I
But it's
never
like,
really
they
paid
went to Europe.
attention.
Like,
Yeah,
it's all the same.
it's yeah, they're on crazy adventures. I'm just
They
gonna go
didn't
with
visit Sweden, so we're not paying attention.
yeah, I know. Um, Venice seems legit. Berlin seems legit. Actually, Berlin, I don't know. Do they go to Berlin? Oh God,
This one's
I
pretty
don't
hard.
know. Oh God,
I may need to dial back my. Well, I don't know. Like the last one I
no,
thought
no,
was gonna
no.
be a doozy, and you guys were on
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna say Berlin. I'm gonna say Germany because I don't remember hearing. Well, then again, I haven't really heard any Prague or Italian or French. Fuck
Okay.
it. I'm gonna say Berlin. You
Chris says
guys,
Berlin.
what
Totoro,
do you guys
Captain Blue
say?
Blue. Want to take a random guess? You got a 25% chance of getting it right.
Yeah, Cap, what do you say? Totoro, what do you say? I'm gonna go with Berlin because I
Okay.
don't know. Totoro goes with Prague. That was my first choice, but I changed it.
Okay.
I changed it to Berlin. Captain Blue says
And
Venice.
okay.
So
Since you
all
each
three of
picked,
us.
yeah, I'm gonna pick the one you didn't pick, which was the correct answer.
Oh my God.
Whoops.
We all
Yeah.
got that one wrong. All right.
So
Shoot.
they arrive, they start in Venice, then they go to Prague, and then I think they end in Berlin, or there's like
I
a stop in Berlin along the way. Paris is the only one that they don't go to.
I don't
Oh, and I
remember
think
that at
they
all.
end up in London at some point. Yeah, I don't blame you. It was a little,
Sure.
that one was tricky. All
Sure.
right, here is a finance one. What's the
Ooh. Ooh.
worldwide highest grossing film of all time?
Oh God,
And
I
I'm,
should
I'm
know
just
this
gonna
one.
give you a hint. This surprised me. I thought like I knew for sure, and it actually wasn't the right answer.
I know
Is it
this.
A, Avengers Endgame, B, Star Wars The Force Awakens, C, Avatar, or D, Titanic? Highest
Okay.
grossing worldwide film of all time.
Are you counting inflation?
I don't know if this counts inflation. I should
All
have
right.
checked that.
Okay. Yeah, no
This is
worries. No worries. No worries.
pulled off of Box Office Mojo.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. I'm
Captain Blue Blue
go
says Endgame.
I don't think it's Endgame. I think it's Titanic and then
Totoro
They're
says Avatar.
they're so close. They're so close. I think it's between Avatar and Titanic.
So we got 2 for Avatar, 1 for Endgame, and one for Titanic. Which way do you lean, Chris? Avatar or Titanic?
Oh, hold on.
This one's hard, right?
Because I know Titanic is like right up there. I know Avatar made a ton of money too. I
Good old
I
James
watched
Cameron.
Yeah, I've watched enough movie trivia. I should know this, but I don't remember. I definitely know it's not Force Awakens or Endgame. Um, Endgame it made a lot of money. I don't know if it surpassed Avatar though. Oh God. Okay, I'm just gonna bite down and say it's still Titanic.
All right, so we got 1 for Titanic, 1 for Avatar, and 1 for Endgame, and 1 for Waterworld, which is actually
Waterworld.
the trick. This was a trick question, and that is the correct answer. Actually, it was Waterworld. Good old Kevin Costner. All right, I'm gonna pick Force Awakens since nobody picked that one, and the answer is Avatar.
Oh, it is Avatar. Oh, okay. All right.
I
So
was
Totoro
so
got it right.
surprised. I thought for
Hmm.
sure it was Endgame or Force Awakens. I thought like one of those blew them away. And actually, for funsies, the other 3 are the next 3 films. So
Sure.
Avatar is number 1, then it's Endgame, then Force Awakens, then Titanic.
Sure.
All right, folks. Final question. Which famous director helmed Apple's iconic
Uh,
1984 advertisement commercial? Is it A. Robert Zemeckis, B. Ridley Scott, C. David Lynch, or D. Francis Ford Coppola? And as an FYI, the 1984 commercials, that like black and white commercial with
yeah.
the runner who like spins and throws the hammer into the big screen, it was amazing. But good old Apple history for you.
Which Fortnite used as an inspiration to get back at Apple,
Yeah,
apparently.
which
Yeah.
I thought
It
was
was awesome.
really clever. Like
Yeah.
I'm an Apple fanboy. I really like Apple, but I
Yeah.
thought like, wow, they, they
They
actually,
got you.
yeah, gotcha. That
Yeah.
was pretty good.
Okay. Ridley Scott.
Captain Blue
Captain Blue Blue
says it seems like
says
a Ridley Scott
Ridley
thing.
Scott thing. Yeah, I'm looking at Ridley Scott too. Um,
You guys were of similar mindset there.
David
Both.
Lynch. David Lynch is like today. He's like a he's like a director today, right? Robert Zemeckis, as well as he's in the more modern times right now. Francis Ford Coppola, I'm not really sure. I think he was like maybe 10, 20 years ago. I don't know. I'll go with Ridley Scott too.
All right.
Totoro
Totoro says
says
Zemeckis.
Zemeckis. Yeah,
Captain Blue says also. Well,
Ridley.
Captain Blue, it seems like you're leaning towards Ridley Scott.
Yeah,
Okay. Um. All right. So we got 2 for Ridley Scott, 1 for
one for
Zemeckis.
Zemeckis.
I'm gonna log in our final answers. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Ridley Scott since we got 2 for that one.
Yeah.
And the answer is ding ding ding. You got it.
Yeah!
Good
I
job.
finally got one right. Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
You
hard.
redeemed yourself at the end there, Chris.
Oh, jeez.
Not bad. Well, actually, we need a
That
way
no, it
to
was pretty bad. I did
you,
horrible.
you know I'm gonna try. So no promises anytime soon, but I'm gonna try to program this in such a way that I can uh I can add in like who's playing today, and then get
Right.
all of you in there, and then I'll select like who picks what, and then you guys can compete with each other and see who
Who
like
does
who's
the
got the
best?
highest score.
Yeah. Well,
So
that was
uh,
fun. That was awesome, man.
yeah, great. I'm glad you liked that. It was
Yeah.
it's tough coming up with trivia questions because I'm like, is this too hard? Is this something that only I would know? Would this be
Right.
fun and interesting? So like it's a little tricky. It's much harder than you
Yeah.
would think. But
Yeah.
thanks for playing, everybody. Hope you had
Thanks for
fun.
s- thanks for setting this up. And Captain Bluebell asks, is 60% a passing grade in America? Unfortunately, 60% is not. You need at least 70% in order to uh get the passing grade. So, yeah,
Better luck next time.
we did awful. Or at least I did awful. Sorry, I forget if you I don't remember if you guys I'm sure some of you guys got more than one question, right? I only got one question, right? That's so bad. Ah, Totoro says Ridley made my number one and two sci-fi films, Blade Runner and Alien. He made a lot of stinkers, but he will always have those. That's true. That's very, very
Yep,
true. Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
man, Michael, amazing job today, dude. You did like one
Thank you.
hell of a Unity not tutorial, but run through of all the stuff that you made. You showed us like all the different patches that you did. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, good job. And also to all of you guys watching, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And I'm just gonna throw our social stuff down in the chat again, and make sure to catch Michael as well as take a look at my stuff really quick. And again, I just want to say, Michael, good job. That is, you did a lot of work. You like, you guys have no idea how much work that was that Michael showed you us today. That was a lot for 1 week, and really, really great progress, man. Thank you so much. That was really good. And just and so basically, let me know really quickly whenever you get the time if you want to press that red button. We'll
You
go ahead
bet.
and explode scene three so that we could get moving on coming up with the different solutions for that just to make the game feel a little bit more consistent and that it'll work, right? So
Sure.
yeah, thank you again, guys, so much for being here. You guys can find me on at twitch.tv at Lead Design Studio, and my Kickstarter is going to actually be running today. So well, it's going to be running today. So in about 3 hours, I'm actually going to launch it, and I'm very, very, very excited. I'm going to do some promo ads on Instagram. Usually
Hell
that doesn't
yeah.
work, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, hope you guys will at least just go and check it out. And if you can, please spread it amongst your social media platforms. And so whoever is interested, they can also take a look. So yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And Michael, where can they find you, good sir?
At the link below, you can see a link to a couple of my social stuff. I'm not really active on social anywhere except here, but if you like what I do and you want to support me and you're interested in storytelling, I do have a book out, Blockbuster Blueprint, available on Amazon, which is all about how stories work, which I guess Chris has got on the screen for you. And there's also a link to it in there. And I'm going to do a second edition at some point, either later this year or early next year. And I'm also going to do some streams in the future. I have some plans, probably a book club, maybe some like video game appreciation type stuff. We'll
Yeah.
see. Right now, I'm completely focused on getting the game done, so don't
Hmm.
expect anything too much from me for a little while. So the best place to see me actually is right here on the Creative Tavern every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, working on this game with Chris and hanging out with you lovely lot. So would love to have you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much again for joining, and we will see you Sunday. And I will give you guys an update on scene three, and depending on what we decide to do, it might look the same or it might look completely different. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Thank you guys so much. Please stick around. We will go ahead and raid someone.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love
and
rating.
until then, we are going to go ahead and do the end screen. Thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Bye,
Awesome.
everybody. Stay
Bye,
creative.
everyone. Stay creative.